myself again.
Good afternoon and welcome to NUFC Matters Matchday live against Tottenham Hotspur today. And big welcome to Chris, Adam, Chris, Martin and Spenny Mag. Hope you're doing well, lads.
Yeah, champion.
All good, mate. Yeah, all good.
Good to see you, and I'm sure there'll be people dipping in and out of today's game, as and when. As always, we'll provide some light relief and some match day commentary throughout this afternoon. There's your lineup then: Caldalo, Manquillo, Fernandez, Lascelles, Ritchie, Hayden, Shelvey, Hendrick, Almiron, Joe Linton, and Wilson. And on the bench, we've got Gillespie, Carroll, Lewis, Kraft, Yedlin, Murphy, and Sean Longstaff. So let's get your views on the lineup. We'll start with you today, Spenny. What's your views on that starting lineup today?
Bit surprised. Fraser's not even on the bench, so something's happened there, isn't it?
Is he just not match fit, do you think?
Maybe unless he's had an incident, I don't know. But I can say Hendricks is going to be on that wing again, unless he's playing Frey in the middle, and Almiron and Max on the wings.
Yeah, maximum.
No, Maxi.
He's injured still.
Doesn't look good, that, like, does it?
Joe on the left, probably.
Yeah. All right, Martin, what's your take on it? Just first impression.
Yeah, couple of ones in there we probably didn't think about. I'm surprised maybe at Richie's inclusion. Looks like 4-3-3. I think most of us have kind of guessing at. ASM, I can understand. I'm surprised at no Fraser. I'd like to know what's going on there. I thought he might have got a game, but yeah, it looks like 4-3-3. I would have liked to have seen Gillespie in after the cup game, me personally, but see what comes. Obviously, Richie in is probably the surprise for me, and Shelvey.
Okay. I mean, for me, I expected to see Joe Linton in the squad. I'm pleased to see Almiron back in. It'll be interesting to see why Fraser hasn't been included. I'm presuming there's obviously some kind of fitness issue there. Lewis is obviously, on the bench and recovering a little bit, I think, from the mauling he had from Lampley, but also the the injury that he sustained in the game as well. But if you're good enough to be on the bench, you're good enough to start, I suppose. Longstaff, a lot of people probably felt he did enough midweek to warrant a call up into the first team, but I suppose you don't want to change it too much. Pleased to see Matt Ritchie in there as well. Looks as if the back four more or less is picking itself today. Fernandez and Lascelles seem to be the favourites. Manquillo at right back as well. Darlow, obviously another decision to make, really, because there doesn't seem to be much between him and Gillespie. But Darlow getting the nod again ahead of Gillespie. Gillespie will obviously more than likely play midweek against Newport. But all in all, Jeff Hendrick's done enough as well to warrant his place in the squad for me. And first time for everything, Joe Linton did. He scored 2 good goals, should have had a hat-trick, albeit against lower opposition. Let's hope today is the day that Joe Linton decides to kick on from a decent performance midweek. And if he can, fantastic. Chris Hall, your take on that starting lineup?
Do you know what? I'm actually really shocked we're not playing 5 at the back. I mean, obviously, it looks 4-3-3, as we've all said. It might be slightly different, but it's definitely not 5 at the back, which for me is massive. Like you, Steve, I thought Joe was going to get a chance this week, and let's hope he kicks on and does something. I am pleased to see Ritchie back, like yourself as well. Ritchie adds. I know, obviously, he's not a left back really, but he adds a lot to the team. And I think his voice is going to be important, especially with no fans as well, because the players, and I don't think we've really talked about this, but, the players can hear everything now, can't they, on the pitch, and they'll probably be able to hear each other, and Matt Ritchie being on the pitch is a big positive for me. Hopefully he'll be screaming the orders out, etc. Shelvey, I didn't think he'd drop Shelvey, but I personally would have played Sean in the middle with Hayden, but let's see what Shelvey does. Hopefully he proves me wrong today.
Yeah, Nathan, welcome to the show, mate. Your take on that starting lineup today?
Yeah, I think like what the guys have said. I'm a bit. I thought Longstaff would have started today after pairing quite well with Hayden midweek. I think that's probably the best kind of. I know it was against obviously low league opposition, but I think that was kind of the best sort of central midfield performance that I've seen, pairing performance that I've seen so far this season. In terms of like how solid they were, and that I think Hayden gave Longstaff the ability to move forward and to do other things. So yeah, I'm surprised that we've got Shelvey in. Really, I don't know what. I think it's in a game where we're going to be sort of really up against it. Probably, I don't know if we can sort of afford the luxury of Shelvey almost in the midfield in what's going to be probably a very tough battle in there today. They've got a lot of energy, tons of running in there in the middle of the park for them. So yeah, I'm not sure how that's going to pan out, but Bruce is the man, he knows his stuff, doesn't he? So yeah, I think Joelinton starting, I think we probably all called that midweek. I think if there was ever a time to start him, it would be off the back of somewhat decent performance midweek and getting a couple of goals, and man manager Steve Bruce isn't gonna not sort of try and leverage that, is he? So yeah, I think in terms of in the net, I think Gillespie would have been a good shout, but then I don't know if Darlow necessarily did enough wrong last weekend to deserve being dropped. I think the goals weren't, he didn't make any mistakes for them, so to speak, and he didn't really make any other mistakes. So I think it'll probably be a case of Gillespie might get it. If Gillespie keeps playing as he is, I think he'll probably get in at some point in the future, pending any mistakes from Darlow. Yeah.
Okay, Chris, your view?
Yeah, it seems like a bit of a gambit to kind of fuse the success of the cup side and shake up the league side that kind of fell apart last weekend. So it's interesting to see this. You know, like everyone said, the 4-3-3 lineup. I'm just pleased that Bruce is not parking parking the bus 5 at the back. So maybe have a go for it, and maybe switch strategies if things go badly. But generally I'm pleased with the selections. Shelvey, again, people have mentioned, has been a bit of a frustrating hit or miss, mostly miss. But I am pleased to see Longstaff in there, and who knows what's happened with Fraser. Maybe he's just not match fit, and maybe he's got a niggle or something. But I think this lineup gives us a chance, and it shows that Bruce is maybe going for it or not just conceding defeat or something. So generally pleased with the selection.
Okay, Adam.
Yeah, the more I've been thinking about it and looking at that team as the other guys have been talking, it might actually be a 4-2-3-1 with Joelinton on the left, Hendrick on the right, Almiron behind Wilson. So long story short, it could be a 4-4-2, could be a 4-3-3, could be a 4-2-3-1, but it's not 5 at the back. So that's for sure. So yeah, it's an interesting lineup. I don't know why Lewis would be on the bench. If you're fit enough to be on the bench, like you said, Steve, you're fit enough to start. He may just be recovering from last week still, that nightmare he had. So not surprised by the lineup. I am glad that Richie is the replacement, though, not Yedlin or not Kraft. 3 fullbacks on the bench, typical Newcastle. So that'll be interesting. Seeing Joelinton get a start makes a lot of sense to me, based on what the others have said about his midweek performance. And to your point, if he's going to do it, it's sort of now or never in the Premier League. But if he is stuck out on the left, then we've got to sort of temper our expectations. And my guess is that he's gone with Shelvey with Hayden because they're going to sit deep. And Nathan was talking about how Hayden gives Longstaff the ability to go forward and play more as a number 10, but I don't think we're going to get that opportunity today. I think we're going to have to sit deeper with our middle 2, sort of defend with 6 and attack with 4 kind of thing. So we'll probably have 25-30% possession. If Shelvey can use that possession to unlock 1 or 2 key passes, that's probably why he gets in the team. But it's tough on Sean because he played so well in the week. It's also tough on Murphy, who also played really, really well in the week. By man of the match, probably his best performance as a Newcastle player. So It's a shame he doesn't get a start. Maybe on another day, if this had been Burnley at home instead of Tottenham away, like next week, maybe Murphy gets a start. But yeah, I mean, the lineup is what it is. I don't see any major problems with it. It's a shame about St. Maximin, but save him for next weekend. He probably won't play in the week either. Maybe off the bench, but I'm pretty happy with the lineup.
Yeah, big thanks to Jason Carter, who's become a YouTube member. Man of your word, Jason. Thank you very much. Barry Hogan says, afternoon, guys. What do you think about the Barlaser story? Would you sell him for less than $1 million? Yeah, it's a story that's come out today in the press about Barlaser. Is interesting. What's your take on it, Chris Hall?
I wouldn't get rid of him. I don't think he's ready for the team now. But, I think he's a youngster who, this season could certainly do with a few cameos. I think we should keep hold of him. Having people like him and Matty Longstaff on the bench, it can only be a good thing. And certainly if we have a good cup run, he should be getting minutes then. So I personally wouldn't be letting him go, especially not for that price. It just doesn't make sense to me. I think we should keep hold of him. Okay,
Martin, what's your take on the Barlaser story?
Yeah, I'm like Chris. I'd keep a hold of him. He played there, earlier on. I thought, he played one of the passes so far. So he, we have this habit of letting homegrown talent and younger lads go, and then they go off elsewhere. We've been doing it since I was a kid watching them. We need to be keeping hold of some of the homegrown talent if they've got prospect and they've got the talent there. But yeah, no, I'd keep a hold of him. I wouldn't let him be gone. I think we keep a hold of him.
Okay, Nathan, are you of the same opinion?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense really to have kept him to this point and have him sort of in and around the first team this season to then sort of ship him out on loan. Was it a loan with an option to buy? I read. I think it was. Yeah, it doesn't seem to make sense to me. Like, we've got to kind of double down on some of these players. Like, either they are good enough and they've got that potential to develop into first team players, and we keep them and we develop them, or we make a decision before this point of the season where it may be that he's going to be in and around the first team and the bench in a lot of the games this season. So like these are sort of decisions that need to be made. Whether a bid comes in, obviously bids come in later on in the transfer window, but the club needs to have sort of made a decision if that player is going to be sort of part of the plans or not way before now. I feel like, because if we're not getting anyone else, we've talked about a lack of creativity in the centre of midfield. If we're, I don't think he'll give us that yet. I think he's got a lot to learn, and he's got a lot to develop, a lot of areas to develop him. But at the same time, why not try? Why not try and develop him into the player that we kind of need? So yeah, I think like we probably not going to be getting anyone in as a replacement, are we? But maybe that's the thinking behind it. Maybe there are some sort of irons in the fire to get another centre midfielder in, because that's something we've talked about where we've felt like we've been lacking a little bit in terms of creativity. So if there's something in the background going on, then I wouldn't be too opposed to it if he was going out on loan. But I wouldn't want to see him like sold, because we've talked him up a lot and he seems to have a lot of potential. So yeah, I think we need to start seeing some of the fruits of these young players coming through and into our first team, because it's not sustainable to keep back to buy every window, and with our ownership we just don't have that luxury either. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens, but hopefully they've got something else on the back burner if they are going to let him go.
Yeah, good points. Darren Baldwin, thank you very much for your sponsorship this month, mate. He's a local family independent business dealing with funerals. So big shout out to him, as always, for helping us pay StreamYard, and qtechshop.co.uk, who make pool tables and snooker tables. A big thank you to them as well for supporting the show, and everybody who's become a member, including Jason Carter today. A big thank you to you as well. Spenny Mag, Barlaser. Hasn't had much first team action. Young lad though, bit of promise. Would you keep him? Would you cash in?
I think definitely we should keep him. Just take him on loan. You look at Chelsea, all the young ones they're getting rid of, and they're the best players in the league at the moment, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good point.
And all them, Salah, all of them. The lad from we played last week, he's from Chelsea. All the young ones, you keep all the young ones, just in case they improve in the later on in the years. Simple as that. You look at Armstrong. because he wasn't getting the team. They loaned him out that many times, and they got sick of loaning him out to sell him. He should have been kept at the club, Armstrong. The way he's been, he could have matured into a better player. That's my thought, anyway.
Okay, mate. Samantha, good afternoon. She says, afternoon, gents. Interesting team choice. I can see a deep 4-5-1 out of possession. Be interesting to see what he's planning to get up the pitch. Albert Mooney says, Murphy deserved a place in a 3 with Miggy and Wilson. Having said that, I hope Big Joe does the business. Dave Gordon says, I think Bruce will park the bus. Simon just thinks a miracle's required. Barry Hogan says, can we have a sweepstake on how many times Joe Linton will touch the ball? There's no criticising Joe Linton. He's got another 6 games after today, and he scored 2 goals midweek. So that's the rule of thumb at this moment in time. Adam Barlaser, where do you stand on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just typical Newcastle, isn't it? I mean, any other club, this would be a non-conversation. I mean, he's a young player. He's come through the academy. He does need first-team football. I think really last year was his first full season playing. I think he's been in and out of every other team that he's been loaned to. So he does need another season, probably in the Championship. But he's 23, so he's not, we're not talking about a 19 or a 20-year-old anymore. He is at the age where he'd have to be registered. I know I go on about that all the time. But so there's probably not room for him in this 25-man squad. But just to go from there to selling him makes absolutely no sense, particularly with the Matty Longstaff situation, right? Not only is he apparently now injured all the time, but his contract's already running down again, isn't it? He's only got 18 months left on his brand new contract. So, for me, the Matty Longstaff situation is not set in stone. He's going to be here more than a year or two. So I'd like to see Barlaser returned. I think he's also in the last year of his contract, which is, bewildering in itself, typical Newcastle. But if he's in the last year of his contract and they haven't re-signed him yet, which they, hopefully they would tell us that, who knows these days, then they've got to make a decision, in this window about what they're going to do. So they might be forcing their hand a little bit by having to loan him out, getting first team football. So they might have to attach an option to buy onto that loan. I just hope it's, for a decent price instead of £500,000 or whatever that's been mentioned. So yeah, it's a tricky one for Newcastle because they never do anything in the right order. But they need to get him either re-signed or moved out on loan. But I just don't think there's room for him in this 25-man squad.
No, fair enough. Dan, I mean, for me, Barlaser is, he's a young lad. I know people are saying 23, 24 is not young. He's still relatively young, and he's inexperienced as far as the Premier League's concerned. I wouldn't. Again, it's whether he's up for going out on loan. Maybe, we've seen Murphy looks as if he's potentially learned something away from the club, and put a little bit of beef on, and looks as if he's more capable. But it's always a gamble, and if releasing somebody like Barlaser, getting a little bit of money in, releases a place in the squad, releases a little bit of wages, and means we can bring somebody else in, in a position where we need strengthen, and then so be it. So it's always a tough call. We don't see the players train day to day, match to and playing in a lot of these under 23 games and what have you. So it's up to the it's up to the coaching staff and up to Steve Bruce essentially. Chris, your view?
Yeah, I felt like the last couple of seasons, the conversation of academy promotions has begun and ended with the Longstaff brothers, and it seems like we need to be able to, if we're going to push on as a club, we need to develop and provide more opportunities for more than just the Longstaff brothers. So I definitely would not like to see Barlaser leave. But like Adam said, maybe there's not a place for him in the 25-man roster, and he might need some more loan-in opportunities. But I definitely don't want to see homegrown talent, which I think is really the lifeblood of the club, of any club. It doesn't matter how much money you have. You can always, those clubs can buy buyout players, but it really is sort of, the cornerstone of a club to have that academy development and to really bring young talent in and say, look at these 4 players and look how your son or you will have a chance to progress up to the first team. But if we just have this idea of shipping out young players and they might get a start here but then not get an opportunity, then we'll end up with guys like throughout the 90s and everything like that players that were from Newcastle and could have got their start here, but we just didn't see a place for them, and they left for other opportunities, other places. And I just like to see hometown guys do well.
Yeah. But I don't think you'll get any arguments from anybody on that, Chris. Mike Gent, you're asking for predictions. We'll do that just before kickoff. A couple of good points being made on the private chat that we have between ourselves. Martin's just checked out a tweet from Chris Waff, who said it could be switched to 5 at the back with Hayden dropping in and playing centre back as he's done before, which is, I suppose, a possibility. Live score, according to Chris Hall, has said it's going to be 4-4-2. So I think, I know it should be easy to work out, really, but I think what we spend most of our time doing, Martin, every game since we started doing Match Day Live, is trying to second guess what Steve Bruce's formation is before, and then I think usually 10, 15 minutes into the game, we're all still trying to decide what he's actually doing. And then B, we're all looking at the substitutes going, God, why have we not got any attackers on the bench? Or why have we not, why we're too top heavy with defenders? And, I don't think I can ever remember doing this with other managers. It's always usually been quite simple, Martin. It's 4-4-2 or it's 4-5-1 and we know what we're doing. Is it a change? Is it the sign of a change of the times in the game, or is it Steve Bruce?
I think, we were exactly the same the West Ham game when we did the first one.
Yeah.
The players ran out onto the pitch and the 7 of us sat there going, what the hell's the formation? Scratching heads going, is it 5? Is it 4? Is it 3? I think that, look, we spoke last week. The game has evolved. The techniques of coaches have evolved and how they facilitate, game plan. If you look at the game plan last week that Brighton had against Newcastle, it was bang on. It was to the point, perfect. And they teams seem to stick with this facility of getting the players to gel by playing a formation that works for them, playing from the back. And I think we'll be exactly the same again today. I think the players will come onto the pitch and the 7 of us will be sat here again going, what the hell is the formation? Will he chop and change it? Probably. As Waffy said there's chance to push Hayden back. The fact that we've got defenders on the bench would say to me, in Bruce's mindset, it's, he's expecting a hard afternoon and, defenders on and what we have got in attack off and damage limitation. So you could argue the point that it's not 5 at the back to begin with, but it's a fairly defeatist bench, I would have said. Could be wrong.
No, I'd agree with you. I mean, let's just look at it again, just so that people tuning in a little bit later can have a look. But starting lineups there, but we're talking about the bench. Gillespie, Carroll, Lewis, Kraft, Yedlin, Murphy, and Sean Longstaff. So get your points in with the lads as we discuss leading up to kick-off. It's a 2:00 kick-off. It's live on Sky Sports today. If you're wanting to bet on today and you're not interested about, not having much chance of winning, stick a quid on 1-0 and Joe Linton. 50-1 today. Always worth a flutter. You never know. Never say never. Could Lightning strike twice at Tottenham's new stadium? Maybe it could. But Chris Hall, your view on the formation and the substitute scenario. We always seem to be talking about it at the start of each game. Is it a Steve Bruce thing?
I think it's a combination of a couple of things. Steve Bruce doesn't really seem to have a philosophy. It's something I said on Twitter yesterday, funnily enough. I really enjoyed watching Brighton yesterday against Man United, and it's because I believe Graham Potter has got a philosophy. He knows how he wants the team to be set up. I do agree with you, Steve. I don't really feel with Steve Bruce, I always feel like, there's 4, 5, 6 possibilities. I don't remember doing this with other managers. I think we don't really have an identity at the moment, and we do have, and I know you've alluded to it before. Is it square pegs in round holes? I do feel that is something that we do a lot. I mean, Hendrick joined the club because he wanted to play in the centre, and if he's playing on the right again, I just don't really understand why. And then we've got Murphy on the bench, who's been playing really well and probably deserves a few minutes, and he's a natural right midfielder / right winger. So I mean, I don't want to criticise because I need to see, you know, how we line up and how it looks. You know, it might be that it's what we believe it is, but I don't know. I think we do need a bit of an identity, and I don't think Bruce helps with that. I think Bruce kind of goes along a little bit as it comes. I know he's said that in the past, hasn't he? He doesn't really worry too much about tactics, which is very worrying as a fan. And I don't think Bruce is one of those people who says, right, this is the formation I'm going to play. This is how I want my players to play. I think he just kind of thinks, well, I want to play like this. Oh, he can go there. That'll do. I don't think he's got a philosophy or an identity around the team.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's, and it should be something that should be in place now. He's been here a year, should have an identity, should have an idea of how the team wants to play, and I don't think that kind of thing's changed. And what you really want is your under 23s playing in the same way, so that if someone comes in, it's an easy fit. You know what I mean? You play the same formation through your two main teams. It's what they used to do in the old days. Why change it? Nathan, your take on that?
Yeah, I think like Chris was saying, watching Brighton against Man United yesterday, they played in like a counter-attacking way, but the way that they sort of do things is they kind of showed that, opposed to what we're used to, like that counter-attacking football, it doesn't have to be at the concession of all possession and all like sort of territory on the pitch, which we seem to do every time we try and play that style. It's a case of we're very much pushed back in, but they sort of play that counter-attacking way, but on the front foot, like they press a lot and they're all over the park and they're making things happen. For us, it seems like, and I felt this kind of through last season, that we go into a game with like a very small sort of game, without a game plan at all, really, and it's kind of, we just sort of bash our team together with the other team, and if we end up, if we've got a better squad, then we end up winning, like that kind of thing. It's like we sort of. Like against West Ham didn't really have a game plan. They were very unorganised, and it seemed like we got the better of them just because we had sort of a slight better clue about what we were doing, and we had a better team on the pitch that day. But then obviously when we come up against Brighton, I don't think we can say for a second that Brighton have got a team that are that's far better and far more quality than ours. But they just had a game plan. They had an idea of what they wanted to do, and they executed it. So I feel like that's where we're at with Bruce as our sort of tactician. It's kind of just to throw the dice every single week, really. And if we seem to get lucky, if we get the rub of the green, so to speak, then we're successful in games. But unless we far outweigh the opponent in terms of quality, which we've seen in the cup games. I mean, we weren't spectacular against Blackburn, but the quality that we had on the pitch got the result in the end for us. And then against Morecambe, we got off to a good start, and we were superior. So yeah, I think that's the measure of where we're at with Bruce, and it's really sort of disappointing to see, because what's going to happen is we'll get turned over by teams that aren't better than us in terms of players and quality and players in every position, but we'll get a harding because they've got a better idea of what to do on the pitch than us, and that's not the way you go through a season. That doesn't fill you with any confidence, because you can't really rely on. There's nothing to rely on, so I can't look at that team today playing Tottenham and think, yeah, we'll beat them in these areas, we'll get the better of them here because of this tactic or because of this style of play, because we don't have any of that. So it's so difficult to even like speculate on it.
Yeah. Okay, Spenny, your views on this?
Well, I think what Steve Bruce does is what we teach you to do at school. Just write the team out, put it on the wall, and then that's where you're playing. Simple as that. He's got no tactics or nothing. It just says you're playing right wing, you're playing left wing. That's it. Simple as that. And I want him to play 4-3-3 today. I want to play Hendricks, Shelby, and Hayden in the middle. I'm run behind the strikers, and the two strikers at top of them. That's the team I want them to play today. That's the formation for me.
Okay, mate. Yep, fair point, Adam.
Yeah, I mean, this debate's going to rage on, isn't it, while we don't have an identity. But to sort of counter Chris's point a little bit about Brighton, and this has been going on for a week now, we talk about style and, having a mentality and all of that, but Brighton keep losing, don't they? And they keep finishing below us. So I don't know. I'm not like, I've not got the answer to that, but I don't know. Would you rather, Would you rather be with Steve Bruce and finish 13th, 14th, or would you rather be Brighton and finish 16th and be safe on the second to last day of the season after drawing with us 0-0? So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I know for sure that the team is going to change every week. He's going to chop and change until he's figured out something that sticks. But the problem is if that team then goes and loses like we did from West Ham to Brighton, he's going to change it all again. So I know we sat here on the day of the Brighton game saying that it should be an unchanged lineup. He should go with what worked at West Ham. But in hindsight, we're not really sure what worked at West Ham. Probably we just got really lucky to be playing a shit team that had themselves no tactics and desire and turmoil at the club and so on. So had we played West Ham, 2 months from now, if they figured it out, then that probably wouldn't have worked 4-4-2. And a lot of it was just a surprise, right? No one was expecting Bruce to go with 4-4-2. And then we were all talking about, well, maybe this is what Bruce wants to do. Maybe he wants to play with 2 strikers, be more direct and so on. And then it was just terrible against Brighton, and he's obviously scrapped that now. So, yeah, it is a bit frustrating to be, a fan of a team that has no true identity, has no sort of grand plan for their tactics each week. But again, I don't know. Maybe we'll finish above Brighton again this season. They've got the same points as we have, and they've played one more game. I know they've lost to Chelsea and Man U, so we'll probably get a hiding from both of them too. But it's an interesting debate, and I don't know which direction you're supposed to go. To Nathan's point, it must be very hard for the players to sort of get to grips each week with what they're doing, because it just seems to change. Seems to be that we're throwing a lineup together for each independent game instead of having a real tactic to go with. But we'll see how it plays out. But I think this is going to be the way Bruce does it. I don't think we're going to say 6 weeks from now, remember that lineup against Tottenham, remember how good that worked and how well it worked going forward. We're going to see it change probably every week, at least till they get some form together, which God knows when that will be.
Yeah, I agree.
Can I just touch on Adam's point? I think he's very right what he's saying about us, like them finishing below us every season. But I think also a way to look at it is, with a style of play and with a philosophy, could we be so much more than we are, though? Do you know what I mean?
We could be, because we've got the players. I know exactly what you're saying, Nathan. We've got the players. We've got better players than the team like Brighton, who have spent, I think, less than £2 million this summer. So we've got a better squad than Brighton, which is probably why over 38 games we end up finishing above them, but we also never beat them, right? So yeah, you're absolutely right. If we had a manager like Graham Potter who came in and said, right, this is how we're going to play, and we're going to play this at the first team level, we're going to play this at the youth team level, and we're just going to do it until it works. We have the players to do that, which is why we keep finishing above them. With no plan. So yeah, I would love someone to come in and be like, all right, lads, we're playing this way. We're going to play possession. We're going to play a high press. This is what we're going to do. We're going to do it every day till we get it right. That would be fantastic. I just don't think that's Bruce's way, unfortunately.
No, I don't think so either. Samantha says we have arguably a better squad than Brighton. That's the difference. Every team needs an identity. Just had an interesting message from Steve Hasty. He's just listened to Luke Edwards on BBC 5, comparing Bruce and Mourinho and saying Bruce selecting Joe Linton is a sign that he's different to Mourinho. He's an excellent manager. Steve's not quite impressed with that. He says, so Bruce is a manager who wants to be liked. Mourinho simply wants to win. So good points by Steve. Thanks for chipping in with that, mate. Chris, over to you, mate, on this debate about Steve Bruce and his substitutes and team selection and formation.
Yeah, I've always thought that Steve Bruce sort of was emblematic of this idea of he's the head coach, not the manager, and his idea of tactics begins and ends with putting 11 guys down on the team sheet and 7 substitutes. I feel like just the way that he manages in game, or whatever he says at halftime, it just doesn't seem like there's any kind of injection of any kind of thought or planning or process to it. And I don't want to just go back to this whole thing of comparing him to other managers that we've had, but it just seems like the last comment, he wants to be liked rather than to win. every time coming out and appealing about this the status of his job and complaining about that he was about to be replaced by Pochettino and all that kind of stuff. It just seems like his head is not really in the game, and he's just kind of caught up in sort of what his status is. And I would just like to see. I have no idea what his coaching staff does or what they add to the game, or if they are also like a negative on tactics and strategy. It just seems like he's just content to fill out the team sheet and say, okay, go at it, boys, go have a go, and come back at halftime, and guys will be on their iPhones or iPads, and then 20 minutes go back out there, and then okay, I'll see you at practice tomorrow. And it just feels like this is what we've been talking about, that Newcastle has the potential to be something bigger, and it just feels like Steve Bruce is kind of the perfect person for Mike Ashley to kind of keep things on the level and not have a big he's not going to fall too far. He could be relegated, but it just seems like he's content to be. He's like the ultimate finish 17th, and we'll kick on to the next year kind of manager. And especially with the additions that we had, people were going in the polls from, okay, we expect Newcastle to go from a struggling side, fighting relegation, to being mid-table, and then with the additions, the Athletic poll was more like, okay, we have a chance to finish mid-table to top 10, but it just doesn't feel like we're really capitalizing on any of the things that were sort of giving us optimism for this season. And it just sort of seems like, again, he's just content to have a go, and just it's kind of like job security versus, he's never going to be a club legend, but it doesn't think that he's even want to go for that.
Mike Gent, clearly a Steve Bruce fan. He only gets angry when they forget to put salad on his kebab, he says. Stu says, look, nobody's on Steve Bruce's back. It's fair to say most fans don't want him, but we are giving him a chance. If he thinks he's got it bad now, then he's in for a shock if we hit a bad run. Daz, welcome, mate. Give me a bit of positivity as Sky show a wonderful slow motion video of Joe Linton. No, it's actually at correct speed. Go on, Daz.
A bit of positivity. I don't know. I'm just sorry, late guys, but maybe you talked about all this kind of stuff already. But just looking at the team sheet, few changes, of course. I can't believe Shelby's still in there. I would like to have seen Henrik there and Murphy given his chance on the wing. Where's Fraser? Is he on the bench? I don't see him on the bench.
Picked up an injury yesterday, apparently. A little injury, nothing major.
Yeah, no, it's good to see. Actually, whatever about the team sheet, looking back on the game last weekend and the game against Brighton, what I want to see today is a bit of passion. There was nothing there last week from anybody. Everyone scoring 3 or 4 out of 10. Whatever about the result today, I could see us potentially getting some kind of a draw, but that's with a lot of passion and everyone given to the best of their ability. I want to see Shelby step up today and do something. If not, get off the park and give someone else a chance. But it's hard to find positivity, Steve. We'll see how it goes. I want us to be still in the game after 5 minutes.
David Crone's having a go. I didn't say anything. I just made a little joke, a little quip. We can all have a little bit of sense of humour about Big Joe every now and then. He's got another 6 games, mate. Don't worry. It's the mentality of, oh, well, we're not going to win things, so let's settle for safety, mediocrity, and not take risks or move forward as a club. Absolutely hate that view. No passion at all. It's fair enough, mate. It's I know where you're coming from. Spurs fan here. As always, quite nervous today because we will struggle if your team turns up. welcome, Maz. As I say, we love having fans from the other clubs on, so I hope you can stay with us throughout the game. It's the Mourinho factor, really, and he broke his jinx, Martin, last year. He managed to get that elusive win at St James's Park. He struggled with Chelsea, he struggled with Manchester United. He's struggling with Tottenham, not getting a result at St James's Park. Pulled it off last year. Has he broken that Newcastle hoodoo and jinx, and are we in for a tough time? Because Harry Kane tends not to do well. When we come to making the prediction, you'll understand why I'm saying this, but I fear Harry Kane today. I think he might turn up for Tottenham against Newcastle, and he hasn't got a very good record against us normally. But Martin, your take on that?
Yeah, I think the thing with Mourinho for me is, and I've seen it around on Twitter a couple of times, form is temporary, but class is permanent. So I think, Mourinho is a serial winner. End of. There is no argument. There is no discussion. He's won things wherever he's been, and he will win something with Spurs, I have no doubt. For one thing I would say, if you are genuinely a football fan, if you haven't watched it, watch the Spurs documentary on Prime. It's amazing. Some of his team talks you wouldn't want to talk about on here, but the guy just genuinely has passion that runs through, I think, his body instead of blood. The way he works with players from a man management level through, I think, we'll see them reap benefits. The other thing, interestingly, that I did was I put both Son and Kane in my fantasy team yesterday before the deadline, because I think they could be two key players for Spurs today. I think the other thing with the Spurs team, when you look at their bench in contrast to our bench, he's got 4 attackers on the bench in Gedson, Bergwijn, Lamela. It's just a different thinking. And look, I get there at home, but it's a hard one to call. I think if we can keep it tight the first 15, and as Daz said, have a bit of passion and get stuck in, maybe. But I think I think it could be a long afternoon.
Okay, Chris Holt.
Yeah, same as what Martin said. Really, I've always had this thing really with ourselves that if we concede in the first 15, 20 minutes, I always just automatically think we've lost. It's done. And going back to the identity thing with Bruce, I do partly blame him for that. I mean, to be fair, it has been a while where we've been like that. I think we were like that under McLaren. We were like that under Pardew. We do need to try and believe in ourselves a little bit more. I think today's going to be a tough afternoon, like you said as well, Steve. Harry Kane hasn't got a great record against us. That will change sometime at some point. It's a really difficult one. I need to see how we line up. I need to see how the first 10, 15 minutes ago. As I say, if we concede in the first 10, 15 minutes, I do think we're in for a really, really difficult afternoon. I'm hoping we can hang on 20 minutes, half an hour, get settled into the game. I think the fact that we haven't got any fans at the stadium, as sad as that is, I do think for ourselves as a club, I do think that's probably a more positive thing. Maybe not necessarily away from home, probably more at home, but I just hope that we can hang on in there first half an hour, get settled into the game, ease in, and hopefully get something. My gut's telling me a draw, but my heart's saying I think we're going to be in for the tough one today. I think probably 3-1 Spurs.
Team's warming up, and Sky showing Son banging in the goals as he has been since the start of the season, and big worry for me just watching that. Hopefully they'll show Joe Linton. Oh, speaking of the devil, they've just showed Joe Linton's goal against Tottenham in August last year, and to be honest, he did take it well. Just looking back there in that orange strip. So yeah, hey, you never know. Funnier things have happened, Nathan. Joe Linton could turn out to be a saviour again today. You never know. Lightning does strike twice in football.
Well, yeah, I think like we talked about, now's the time for him to really kind of double down on his performance midweek. I think he still needs some work around that ruthlessness that we've talked about. In terms of him not bundling that chance into the back of the net to get his hat trick, like all good strikers or any player, in fact, would have just wellied that into the back of the net. Even like we talked about midweek, didn't we? Even like on the playground, like if that's dropping someone on the line, they're smashing it in, taking the goal off the mate, aren't they? Like they're not bothered. Everyone wants people want to score a goal. So I think in terms of like Mourinho, it's been quite a weird start for Mourinho under at Spurs. I think looking at I remember reading a piece. I think it was around when he played around 35 games, because they were sort of analysing him after a sort of season's worth of games almost. And yeah, they conceded I think it was like 40 something goals. They conceded another 3 this season in 2 games. So they've kind of carried that on. So there is that chance there for us to take advantage of that at the back, because they're not the best at the back. And like Martin's mentioned in that documentary, you see that quite a lot. That's one of Mourinho's biggest sort of bugbears with that Spurs team, is that they concede a lot, not necessarily through defensive mistakes, but through the midfield not kind of stepping up and helping protect the back line. And he was saying that they kind of concede goals as a team. And they were looking at like these individual mistakes from the defenders, but they were saying, that could have been stopped, sort of 2-3 minutes before, when the ball was when we lost the ball in the middle kind of thing. So I think he was always bound to break his sort of hoodoo with Newcastle. I think, like we've talked about, Kane, he's looking like Kane's looking really good so far this season. And yeah, I think it's a matter of time until he kind of starts to do well against us. I just think we've probably been quite lucky up to now. We've got the tools to hurt them on the break today. Not necessarily with. I think Wilson might get some joy in between the back two there. But yeah, I think a lot of people have mentioned about Mourinho being, and I guess every time the players he mentions the idea of coming up to Newcastle and having a lot of admiration for us because of Sir Bobby Robson years. But it wouldn't surprise me if he comes to manage us one day. I would have thought probably at the back end of his career. I don't think, not at the moment, not with the current sort of boardroom framework that we've got at the minute. I don't think we could get a manager like that again. But you never know, one day maybe.
Okay, yeah, Daz, your views, mate, please.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing that Nate said, actually, just on Mourinho, that I can see him coming to Newcastle at some stage in the future, but it would be when we're under new ownership for sure. But just on the game today, I think the best case we could hope for is a draw, and worst case, who knows? But we'll see how it goes. Not expecting a great day for us, but we live in hope.
Okay, Spenny.
Mourinho, every time you listen to Mourinho, he's about to play Newcastle, he's like he's doing a job interview to get the job, because all he does is bull himself up about Newcastle and the Bobby Robson connection. I remember seeing him at Durham when Bobby Robson was alive anyway, because Bobby Robson was from Langley Park, just outside Durham. And I actually saw him when he was there. When he was manager at Porto with Mourinho coming over to see his wife and that. Which was, you know what I mean? One of the best moments of my life to see them go together.
Yeah, I bet, mate. I bet. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Bobby Robson obviously had Mourinho under his wing, and it's one of those things that he continues to mention. Although, he's not the first person to do that. We can't forget John Carver. I used to mention it every week.
I know. He even said to Steve Bruce, didn't he? Said to Steve Bruce,
yes.
You should get this job. Bobby Robson.
Yeah, he did. Adam, your view, mate.
Yeah, I mean, in all likelihood, we're going to get battered today, aren't we? I mean, their best players are miles better than our best players. So there's a high chance that we'll get beat 3, 4, or 5 by today. Would be my guess, particularly if they show up playing like they did last weekend. They can blow teams away in 15, 20 minutes if you allow it. So our best chance is to keep it very, very tight, frustrate them. They are a soft team. They don't like when teams get physical with them. So maybe that's why he's got the extra midfielder in there today. We'll see how that goes. But if Kane and Son are allowed to be at their best, or even 50% of their best, then they're going to be better than us. I do see us scoring because they are pretty weak at the back. They concede a lot of goals. To Nathan's point, I can see Wilson getting some success, particularly if we get people up and around him, whether it's Joe Linton or whether it's Carroll. later on in the game. So I can see us scoring, but ultimately the best team tends to win. And Spurs are just a much better team than us. I want to make a point about the person that had the quote up there about, we've got this mentality of we're never going to win. We shouldn't even bother trying. We've got to do the least harm as possible. That's just the Mike Ashley way, isn't it? That's just sort of been the slogan for 13 or so years now. It's not about getting better each season. It's not about progressing to a higher position. It's not about competing, particularly in the cups. It is just about staying in the league. And he's gambled every season, and he's lost twice, and he's won all the other times. So, I don't see that mentality changing. I do know that there is a different perspective this year about making sure we stay in the league and making sure that we get the players to do that. But at the end of the day, that person was absolutely right. That is the mentality of Newcastle. It's not the mentality of the fans, but it is the mentality of the leadership at the club. And there's just nothing we can do about that, unfortunately.
Yeah, Daniel was just saying, what do you mean their best player is better than ours? Have you seen Joe Linton? He's a beast versus Spurs.
Yeah,
I think
you're right. You're right.
Slightly tongue-in-cheek there from Daniel. Chris, your take on this?
Yeah, I feel like of the so-called top six, this is always the one side that we've got a fighting chance against. And I feel like a lot of things have to go right on our side, and a lot of things have to go wrong on their side for us to get a result. But I'm just feeling like I want to give a little bit of optimism here. I know we want to be realistic and maybe pessimistic. And I just feel like it's just. I just want to go back to the managers and say like Mourinho and Bruce are just in a different class, and he does have that Robson pedigree, and it's just kind of crazy that what was it a year ago that we thought that he might be after Rafa left that there was talk of Mourinho entertaining coming to Newcastle primarily because of that Robson link, and despite him never giving any indication that he would consider managing Newcastle, especially under Ashley. It's still sort of mind-boggling that someone like Rafa would come in under Mike Ashley, considering everything he must have known. He must have known what he was getting into with Ashley, and just maybe thought that a manager of his stature would be able to sort of bend Mike Ashley to his will. And he found out that nobody bends Mike Ashley to their will, despite him having bad business practices or whatever. He always manages to come out on top, and that's why. And sort of the back of my mind with the QCs going on, that I feel like maybe the best thing that Mike Ashley will ever do will figure out a way to take it to the Premier League and get our club sold despite the opposition of the top six, and that's sort of his ultimate win against the top six, is to sell the club. He's not going to compete with the top six while he's the owner, but maybe he just sticks it to them and say, you don't want the Saudis, we're going to get the Saudis through, even if it takes litigation, in the High Court to do it.
Sheffield United's bad start of the season continues as Tom Dixon has put the result up there. It's Leeds United with a win away from home, and that's a great result. Great result for the Yorkshire Police as well. They wouldn't have had to police that game. I bet they weren't looking forward to that one at all. They'll be hoping that there's no fans in the stadium next year as well. Mike Ashley just appeared on the screen as the teams are coming out of the tunnel. He's in the.
I summoned him out.
You summoned him out with what you said. Yeah, I just saw him there. So reached that time of the broadcast where we ask you for your predictions. So Martin, starting with you.
Oh God, you'd love to see us do something, but I think Wilson to score for us, but I'm gonna go 3-1 Spurs.
3-1 Spurs. Chris Hall.
Yeah, sorry, Steve. I gave you mine earlier, didn't I? Yeah, I'm the same. 3-1 Spurs.
3-1 Spurs. Nathan.
Yeah, I don't see us scoring today. Unfortunately, I think probably 2-0 Spurs, but we can hope that this new purple kit might be a lucky one for us. That's what we can cling on to that.
It doesn't look as bad as I thought it was going to, Nathan. Actually, and there's no white socks.
Better on.
It looks better on.
I don't mind it, you know.
I told you, no one would believe me.
You're actually right, Daz. You were the man who called this again. Daz, I'm going to leave your prediction till last because I like to keep the optimism till the end. Spenny, your prediction?
One's apiece. I'm going for a draw.
Oh, that's quite optimistic. Adam?
Really?
I think we're going to get beat 5-0.
Oof, quite. Chris?
Go home now.
What was that, Chris? We missed that.
I said which one? Oh, Chris Hall or me? Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, you just get Chris. You're the Chris.
Okay.
Chris Hall.
Sorry. Hopefully, with these new kits, someone doesn't take the park bus and run us over with those tire tracks. But I'm going to go something optimistic and go for a 2-2 draw. Joe Linton and Wilson to score.
Well, I've got to go with the bet that I put on 1-0 Joe Linton, 50-1. So that's my bet. Showing my faith in Joe Linton, guys. Daz, your prediction.
Okay, I'll give him my negative first. My negative is 2-0 Spurs, and my positive is 1-1 and Joe Linton to score.
Okay, right. Okay, I think I was probably more positive than you this week, to be honest. Like, I'm pretty that's a change. Okay, as Sky start running through the team, I'll just give you another quick shot of the team lineup, lads. I want to start just having a quick conversation about what we saw yesterday, and it's that dreaded word VAR, and
5-4-1.
Martin, it spoiled the games yesterday. A handball used to be quite simple. I feel now as if I'm going to have to sit with a copy of the rule book to actually work out what a handball is, because I don't know what a handball is anymore. We saw the numerous games yesterday all affected by it in some shape or form. What was your take on it and how the VAR handled it?
Yeah, I thought it was bad yesterday. I think I kind of watched the interview yesterday afternoon with Roy Hodgson, and I thought he was bang on. To be fair, after the Everton Palace match, a handball, if it hits a hand, it's a handball. If it doesn't hit a hand, it's not a handball. If it stops a direct play or movement to a goal, it's a handball. If it doesn't interfere, it's not. And it's become so complicated. Just the changes and everything else that went into it yesterday between the Brighton game and the Palace game, it destroyed the two games yesterday. And I think Hodgson, I think he was bang on with his comments yesterday.
Yeah, Chris Hall.
Yeah, same as Martin. Do you know what, Steve? I was watching the match live yesterday, and I couldn't believe that Joel Ward penalty was given. His arms down. If it was up at an angle, or it was even blocking anything, I could half understand it. A bit like the do you remember the penalty in the Champions League with Liverpool and Tottenham? When Sissoko had his arm up, his arm was up.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, his arm was up, and it shouldn't have been. So it was in an unnatural position. So I could understand why it was given. Even then, I didn't really think that was handball either. But I could understand that more. But certainly yesterday, his arm's down. He's not moved his arm to block it. He hasn't moved his arm to for any other reason. He's kept it low, and I just think, crazy decision. But yeah, Roy Hodgson was absolutely spot on, Martin, as you've just said, and I think they need to revert the rule.
Big thanks to Adam Morris, who's just become a YouTube member. Thanks very much, mate. Nathan, the Crystal Palace game was the one for me. That was just absolutely crazy. And it's these kind of decisions which, of course, can change a team's fortunes and can be the difference between staying in the Premier League and being relegated or winning the league and not winning the league.
Well, we saw that last year, didn't we, with the goal that never was when it was over the line. I can't remember the team it was, but it was over the line, wasn't it? And that kept Villa up essentially, didn't it? Because they, I think I'm a bit out of the loop because I didn't watch the games yesterday. I only saw the Brighton and Man United game, but I was out for the rest of the day. But for me, the whole point of the implementation of VAR is for it to be consistent and to iron out these errors and to iron out any sort of unfair opportunities that sort of present themselves in games. But for me, it's kind of, we don't have the implementation down right yet because we've got so many. The decisions are different every week for different types of handball, whether it hits someone on their upper arm or lower arm now, and that implementation it's not consistent throughout every game. So therefore, it almost makes the whole thing redundant. It might as well go back to pre-VAR times. Not that they're ever going to do that, but if it's inconsistent in its implementation, then it's essentially useless. So it needs to be like really clear across the board for every type of decision, and the rules need to be really clear and transparent. But I don't feel like the officials have a grasp on that. There's things that happen in every game. Like for last week, we thought they were going to look at VAR for that penalty, and we looked at the replay of St. Maximin making that challenge, and he made it. It was a foolish challenge to make, but he touched the ball and knocked the ball away from the striker. So you're thinking if you're looking at an implementation,
Get out!
Great save.
Yeah, if you're looking at like an implementation on that level, then you'd think they looked at that and thought, well, maybe it's not as clear a penalty as we thought. But it didn't even seem like they checked it. So I mean, why are they not checking those things? I'm not sure. But yeah, for me, it's inconsistent. I think it's going to get refined over time, and then we'll have a product that's somewhat serviceable. But until then, yeah, I think there's a long way to go with it.
All the excitement came of a free kick by Spurs. Newcastle conceded a cheap free kick on the edge of the box. Spurs took the free kick. Great save, it has to be said, by Darlow. Kept it out, and certainly earned his paycheck with that save. It was a fantastic save, fingertip save, and then he got down again
as well from Harry Kane.
He got down again, as Martin says, and a double save from Harry Kane. So Tottenham setting up their intentions early on in the game, but Darlow keeping Tottenham at bay. Interesting start. Daz, your view?
Yeah, I didn't actually see any of the games. I have to catch up on yesterday, so I have to catch up. But so I have no real comment on that one, Steve. But just to come back to what you mentioned earlier about as this Son steps up for his free kick, whip it into the box.
Oh,
okay, didn't clear the first man. But with Mike Ashley talking to Daniel Levy there at the start, I wonder what he think about throwing in a cheeky bid for Dele Alli, who's left out of the side today.
Good idea, mate. Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of talk about that. I mean, I'm not 100% sure that Dele Alli's the kind of character we want at the club. He seems to be one of those players that causes an argument in an empty dressing room. We had Danny Rose. There seems to be a bit of an attitude problem among some of the squad. Daz, would you take Dele Alli? I mean, he's a creative midfield player. We're crying out for one.
Yeah, I take him. Yeah, if it meant having to rotate Shelby, I'd definitely take him. We had him at the training ground before, didn't we? Back a long time ago, and the Spurs swooped in and took him on us then. Back when he was in MK Dons. Yeah.
Spenny, did you see any of the hilarious VAR decisions yesterday? I mean, it's crazy, really. You think a year in that they would have managed to iron out a lot of these problems. What was your view on some of those last night?
I think it's coming to a joke now. It's going to where they might not change it all and go back to the referee. The way it's going on, and is it right? The UEFA's got decisions now. It's the UEFA's doing it all now, aren't they? Not the Premiership. They're doing the VARs with all the Europe, aren't they? UEFA.
I don't know. Anybody know? No, I've not heard that. I still think it's down at St George's where they watch the decisions. I just think it's just clarity on rules. I mean, I've got to be honest. Some of it seems to have improved. I mean, they're making more of an effort of making the referees go and look at it again on the TV. I thought Gary Lineker made a really good point this morning, or last night, sorry, on Match of the Day, but I watched it this morning. Was that the referees should watch the replays in real time and not watch them in slow motion, because when you watch them in slow motion, you're sometimes getting a different impression of what's actually happened, because the momentum of somebody's body or the way that somebody turns looks different when you're watching it in slow motion to actual speed. So I thought that was a pretty valid point, because it can look as if someone's actually moving their hand up towards it. It sounds stupid, but try it. Just try it and watch it. And I think they're 100% right. You know. So but it can cost.
What they're going to do after this? And then they're going to get rid of the referee altogether.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, isn't it, mate? It really is. Adam, did you see any of the controversial decisions yesterday?
Yeah, I did, and I think Nathan's point about St. Maximum's tackle last weekend is spot on, because if you watch that if you watch the replay of that tackle in real time, it looks like he gets the ball before he fouls the man, but if you watch it in slow motion, it's clear that he fouled the man to get to the ball. So I don't know which one of those is right or wrong. Like, if you foul the man while still getting the ball, is that a penalty or is that not a penalty because you won the ball? But I was talking to Sam from the Ladies Show on Twitter yesterday about the VAR decision, and she just made this great point that like we're not going to need the refs, we're not going to need the linesmen, that's for sure, because they never get it right. That always goes to VAR. So we're not going to need the linesman, that's for sure, and eventually we're going to run out of any use for a man in the middle as well. So it is a problem that the Premier League has, and other leagues. I mean, I think VAR for goal line technology makes a lot of sense, because we just can't afford to have those decisions go wrong, like that Sheffield United Aston Villa situation last year. A team went down in the end because of that decision. So you can't afford to get those wrong. So we do need VAR for that, and we do need to watch replays in real time, to your point, because it's a totally different experience. If you watch the whole game in slow motion, everything would be different about it. So they shouldn't be able to watch replays in slow motion, in my opinion, other than goal line technology. So it's a frustrating situation that the leagues put themselves in, but I don't see them going backwards. If anything, I see them going deeper down the rabbit hole. My feed over here in the US is a good 2.5 minutes.
What a save, Darlow.
Carlos
Great save.
earning his keep.
I think Hayden's playing right back, isn't he? Hayden playing right back.
That's 3 from 3 saves.
Playing, 5 at the back, Spenny. Hayden's playing right centre back in a back 5, and we're just going to do this all game, aren't we? We're going to play the entire game in our half, hope for a couple of a counter attack.
That's a great save.
2 cracking saves.
Yeah, my feed is so far behind you guys over here in the US, so I'm going to drop off and just watch you guys instead of watching it live over here. So I'll talk to you guys later.
See you there, Adam.
See
No,
you.
See you, Adam.
We can't hear Steve.
Oh yeah, you're on mute, Steve.
Oh yeah, sorry mate. Yeah, I did do that. My kids came back in and they were making so much noise. I put myself on mute. What a classic! I've done a Spenny. It's an absolute classic.
I was going to say, did anyone see when they posted Steve Bruce's record versus Mourinho? It was like 0 wins, 2 draws, and 8 losses. I didn't even know that Steve Bruce has had that much Premier League experience to go against Mourinho, but just an interesting stat that they posted.
Tom Dixon says a late change on the bench. Gedson replaces Sissoko due to illness. Well, that's sad to hear. I'm not sure what's gone on there. Well, your take on the welcome Al Walid. What's the take on VAR, Chris, for you? I mean, the decisions yesterday were border on stupid. It was probably not as much the VAR, more the handball rule. It's just so much confusion. It used to be so simple, but it used to be if the ball plays the hand or the hand plays it just none of it really makes sense anymore.
Yeah, I feel like with the added regime of computer aided checks and stuff, or video aided checks, that it's just it's gone to shambles. I mean, it's gotten more complicated and more sort of room for errors or misjudgments rather than just, the good old fashioned human judgment. I sort of thought that with the human judgment, you won some, you lose some, and it kind of evened out. Whereas I feel like there's just a problem with taking too many cooks in the kitchen to look at this VAR, and I just don't think that the VAR gets it right, or they even know when to go to VAR. So, not a fan.
I think the other thing yesterday, if you look at the United and the Brighton match, at what point does VAR stop and start? Like the full-time whistle had gone, and then the penalty was given. So, where is the line drawn? Either the match is an undefined amount of time until VAR says it's over, or is it 90 minutes and the ref blows and that's it? How can you then go back then and VAR overrule the ref? He re-blows to start the game, and then there's a penalty. It's crazy.
Yeah.
One of the things as well, it's quite frustrating, is that they have like a bit of they seem to have like a debrief, don't they? The VAR officials on like after the games on a Sunday or on a Monday, and they tend to release a statement and they talk about, we made 3 mistakes this weekend, or there was 2 mistakes this weekend. But I'm sorry, but there should be none. There should be no mistakes. Yeah. If we've got this implementation, people talked about it ruining the flow of the game and taking too long, and if they can't make a decision within a certain amount of time. But I'm sorry, but if we're having this implementation across every game, then take as long as it needs to take to make the right decision, because these things matter and they add up at the end of the season. And like we've talked about, that it's the difference between, it can be the difference between winning the league and not, going up and staying up and going down. Take the time and make the right decision. Everyone would rather that than the wrong decision be made. I'd rather wait for 3-4 minutes and get the right call rather than us not getting a goal or something, because they should take the time, take the opportunity that they've got using the technology and make sure there are no mistakes for me.
Do you know the problem, though, Rafe? I think the problem's with the rules itself, because if know, especially with that penalty, the one against Joe Ward, the referee went and looked at it, and he still gave that decision, which is wrong. It's just it's baffling. But going back to your point, Steve, about the about slowing down and not slowing it down and watching it in real time. Did you see the Aaron Connolly chance? Well, sorry, the Aaron Connolly penalty shout.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
It looked like a penalty, didn't it? But then when you slowed it down and you saw him move his hand towards Pogba's shirt, but even then it was flimsy, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean, mate. I mean, look, there was teething problems last year. I think maybe it's the interpretation of the laws which need to be clarified, and just a clear directive. If the ball hits your hand in the box, it's a penalty. It's as simple as that. Yeah. Remove the lines about whether it's intentional or this, that, and the other. Just if the ball strikes the hand in the penalty area, then it's a penalty. Or otherwise we're constantly going to be having these kind of disputes and arguments, and there's no doubt some technology works. Goal line technology, with the exception of that game that involved Sheffield United last year, has been massively beneficial to the game. But unfortunately, these certain things just need a little bit of a change. Spurs, just getting back to the game, for those of you wanting an update, Spurs completely dominating this game at the moment. No surprise. Newcastle appear to have set up with 5 at the back. I think we've managed to determine that Hayden's playing at the right of the 3, and it's going to be a long old afternoon for Newcastle. But Darlow has been outstanding. Pulled off not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 outstanding saves. Two double saves.
Doing it again now.
And it was a corner from Tottenham. Harry Kane with a nod down. Darlow again came out and smothered at the feet of the oncoming Tottenham forward. So Newcastle really up against it today. But if Darlow can continue this kind of form for 90 minutes, then there's a fighting chance of that 1-0 scoreline and Joe Linton getting that goal for me to get me bet in. So I'll be celebrating Spenny like you if that comes in.
Like I said, I don't want to do another go at Tottenham here, because they've got a poor defence like ours. Haven't they? Spurs. They're not that good.
No, they have. Yeah, they have 100%. In all honesty, lads, this is the best football show, in-match commentary, etc. since Mick Lowe's Metro Radio and Radio Newcastle show. Fantastic stuff. Cheers, Funko. And I did see your friends last night at one of the event that I held in Newcastle. So I hope they took a photo. Well, I did get a photograph taken with them. They should have sent it to you last night. So thanks for your support. Al-Walid, then, what's your views so far? First 15 minutes into the game, what's your views on Newcastle United versus Tottenham?
Actually, I just catch up. I was late, but I take a look on the squad line. It's so Brucey lineup. He still insists that he will play with the 3 center midfielder.
Did you say Brucey lineup?
What about Mr. Bruce?
What happened to Mr. Bruce?
No, I mean by Brucey, it's like his Brucey, and it's like his style. I think he's aware maybe of the team. He sees something we didn't see in the training sessions. I think he like to play with the 3 center midfielder. They give him option to cover maybe the weakness of the defense. I think it's 4-3-3. So Wilton, and it's opportunity for Wilton to Wilson to find great DU. Hopefully it will gonna be today. And I like the idea of Richie become left back. I think we earlier we talked about it before, and I think it's so far is good so far. And let's hope for the best.
Okay, what did you have a prediction, Al-Walid? You were late on, so what was your prediction?
Go on, Wilson.
It's very hard. It's very hard. But if I have to, maybe we'll go for a draw.
Okay, a draw. Okay, thanks, mate. Wilson finally got through, and it was a weak shot, nowhere near the goal, and just a very weak shot. Martin's just made the point in the private chat that Wilson's looking very isolated in the 5-4-1. Smashed Pumpkin G as well made the same point. Adam Beckett, who's just left us, has just said we've already surrendered this game. Can't keep possession, allowing this to come all the way into our half before any pressing. Absolute misery. Chris Stappard says Shelby tackling is part of a footballer's CV. Why don't you try it? Darlow is a bit too busy for my liking, says Adam Morris. Darlow MVP so far. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. Shelby is lost. Ben thinks that Al-Walid's got a coffee addiction. I think he's referring to the old Starbucks sign, which seems to have reappeared behind Al-Walid there. Still no sponsorship, Al-Walid? They're still not sponsoring you?
Not much.
Not yet. No, not much. Not much. Oh, well, good luck. We'll stop mentioning them. As he wants a Brucey bonus, I'm Tyler Durden says we're waiting for the Tottenham axe to fall. We have no out, no way of getting up the pitch. It's only a matter of time. There's no goals at the minute, Trolls. Asking it's Newcastle United away at the Tottenham Hotspur. Nearly 20 minutes on the clock, and it's 0-0. Newcastle wearing the rather snazzy purple strip, which everybody hated, but we've all seen it in the flesh now, and we act well as close as we can get to in the flesh, watching it live on TV. But it actually doesn't look too bad. I think most of us have agreed. Brucey used to say good game? Good game must have been before he took over at Newcastle, says Barry. Good game. Fungo says, I got the pick, mate. Good that I couldn't make it. My son's birthday party first thing this morning as well. I hope he had a good birthday, and I hope he didn't get him a Newcastle United strip, because you give him a life of misery, but I hope he had a good day. If we play our cards right, we may nick a goal. That's a Bruce Forsyth love-in now. Why can't Bruce play attacking football when away? At least give it a go. And Gerard says, luckily Spurs are making the odd mistake as well. Yeah, look, 20 minutes in, Darlow's having a blinder. Spurs haven't scored. You know, who's to say this can't turn into another away day for Newcastle? It could well do. Shelby getting in at the back there and kicking the ball out and clearing his lines. Joe Linton has been busy, I would say. I've been watching Joe Linton. He's back there defending. He's certainly got the grasp of what Steve Bruce has asked everybody to do, which is play as deep as you can and hope for the best. But yeah, Chris, it's not going to be pretty. It's a bit like El Alamo. It's backs to the wall. But you know, I've seen games like this where Newcastle have defended, and you know, gone up the other end and scored and come away with a bit of a fluke.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. We're on 15% possession. We barely got into their end at all. So I feel like it's going to be like that kind of game where it's like a snap, you know, a quick lightning like oh. It's just again coming back to our idea of what is the strategy, what's the tactics beyond setting the game lineup.
Big thanks to Mrs. Wraith, who's delivered a coffee because I couldn't get up and go and get it myself. So I don't often get waited on hand and foot, but that was a nice gesture. So the coffee's there. She's come in and she's now come in and she doesn't like being mentioned on the show, but I'm saying thanks for delivering the coffee.
Now come down the conveyor.
Oh, I always get. I always get waited.
Steve's getting called out live on air.
I always get waited on hand and foot. Apparently, it's coming out live. Can you all hear this? Hold on, I'm gonna mute the mic. Spenny, I better mute the mic. I might get her on ladies' night. Yeah, Dawn's only experience of going to the match was we managed to get a ticket for an executive box once, and it was Newcastle Liverpool, and Shola Amiobi was playing. Dawn didn't watch any of the game. She came out onto the outside concourse once, and she looked over the pitch and she went, "Why does that guy keep falling over?" It was Shola Amiobi. So just shows you, even as a casual observer in football, your missus can pick up a few things.
Don't show her Joe Linton.
I will show her Joe Linton at some point, yeah.
Shelby,
that corner then, that was like the worst corner I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It looked like we had some sort of plan with all like a bunch of players at the edge of the area, like something that they'd perhaps worked on to burst into the box, but it didn't even clear the first man, unfortunately.
I've got a question for Alloway.
Go on.
Alloway, how come you never read my questions out on Friday night?
Some of them, the appropriate one.
I always laugh when Spenny talks to Alawaleed on this show, because he feels as if he's got to shout because he's further away. I don't know. I'm like that. He's like that, and he's like, I don't know whether it's because he's down there on your. Is he down there on your screen?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. You think shouting down a hole or something?
All he asked who was the richest, Stuart or Mitch.
Yeah, sometimes it's many ask serious question, then funny question. It's
Big thanks to Maverick Music. Big thanks to Maverick Music, another Spurs fan. I'm a Spurs fan watching your podcast, as you are fair and balanced. Call it what it is, better than the actual commentary. In fact, kudos. Thank you very much, mate. Thank you very much. Yeah, look, it's an interesting game today. Newcastle going down there with, just an idea of just defending, and Spurs have scored goals, in the last game, and maybe Bruce has got this right. Just sit back and defend and hope for the best.
And I see Hayden play centre back. Hayden centre back today.
Yeah.
Playing five at the back. Alwaleed.
5-4-1.
Do you want to hear something interesting, guys?
Go for it.
This is my second live game, and I'm yet to see a shot on goal for Newcastle.
Wow, Josh.
Okay.
Now going to wear knock Daz off the live feed.
Yeah.
He's banned till further notice. A for being too optimistic, and B for that stat.
I've got
look at Joe with a little back heel.
Joe in the back heel.
Hold up! I've just watched that. That was brilliant by Joe Linton. Another just a back flick. I mean, just standard from the big man.
Same as O'Alloway's got stairs.
Son, is it not? No, Lucas Moira.
Great ball in by Harry Kane. It was a great ball in by Harry Kane. Do we dare say that came from? Do we dare say that came from the Joe Linton's ridiculous back heel now?
It's funny. It's the first time we started breaking out like that, and we just got caught in the reverse.
That's a decent ball from Harry Kane.
Sky maintaining. I've never really understood why Sky do this in games. Somebody signs for a football club. Gareth Bale's a big player, we know that, but Sky continue. It doesn't matter who it is, always focus on the player in the stand. They waste valuable time focusing on the player in the stand and seeing what their reaction is, don't they? It's a good through ball by Son. Harry Kane did a little step over, passed the ball past Hayden, and back post. Great goal, good goal.
It's a Richie mistake.
Richie was a meter behind there.
Yeah, he just didn't know what was going on behind him. Richie had no idea that Mora was
like
again. Why didn't I know as Kane is coming down there? Like why are we not getting a foot in? I said this the other day when we played Brighton. Who's tackling?
Yeah.
We just seem half a yard off the pace of some of these teams, though. The way they move the
through
ball around against us, we seem.
Oh, yeah. Oh, thank God for that.
That brilliant camera work with Gareth Bale was like in the restart season when we scored like 24 seconds into the game, and they barely showed the goal because they were focusing on a replay of the previous play.
That was a good save.
The chance.
Harry Kane's added today.
Yeah, so is Carl Darlow, though.
Yeah, thank God. Oh, we're staying.
Right.
So much space on the edge of the area there.
Place
So
now.
much time on the ball.
Oh, what a save.
At least Shelby made it into the frame.
Yeah, this is the problem with Shelby. We've covered it early doors, lads. We called it right at the start. I've not been a huge fan of Shelby. It's got to be honest. He's a liability sometimes in the midfield. He's far too slow, and and if the problem is confidence, if a second goal goes in for Tottenham, Shelby just goes missing, But yeah. Shelby doesn't play his best football sitting on the edge of the D.
No.
Yeah. And
we had an opportunity there a little bit earlier where Hendrick was completely unmarked in the middle, and Shelby played a ball out wide right to Almiron, who was surrounded by two players. So even when we are getting a little bit of clear grass, we're making the wrong choice with the pass.
Russell Johnson says this is torture.
Games as well, really, Shelby. I think he's like you say, he can go completely missing, but then also like for the highlights that we see over the course of the season, these like Hollywood passes and stuff, they're too few and far between. He doesn't do them consistently enough. He doesn't make those passes and break up that defense consistently enough to outweigh all the other shit that goes on with him. To be fair, so yeah.
I saw on Twitter that Ryan Fraser is out with a slight groin strain. That's a little worrying. He
hasn't played a great deal of football though, Chris. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, he went on strike, didn't he, at the back end of last season? Sure. So not playing hasn't helped. But I find it a bit strange. We seem to be in this culture now because of
Wilson.
Everyone's in the same boat. No one's had a good pre-season. I've seen Ole Gunnar Solskjaer blaming the fact that we haven't had much time to prepare as an excuse for losing the first game, and almost throwing yesterday away until they got that jammy penalty. But ultimately, a lot of managers seem to be blaming this. We're all in the same boat, aren't we? We're all in the same boat.
But they're just showing the replay again there of Kane, of the goal, right? Yeah, if you're looking at it the other way. Like we've got 5 back in the box. Richie knows he's got nobody behind him. And the last piece you see is Shelby just sauntering into the box with his hands down as the goal goes in. Like, surely he can see the position that Moira is there and giving Richie a shout.
That was just lazy.
Yeah. Frustrating.
I was wondering with Fraser whether it's an injury of not enough training or too much too soon. I
think he's probably rushed into the team, wasn't he? He definitely was. He can't have been as fit as the other guys just through the way the end of his season panned out the end of last season. I think we've been so keen to have him in the team but he's been keen as well. He's been talking himself up, as he's saying he's been looking after himself and stuff. But yeah, maybe too soon, Chris. Yeah.
Something that happened a lot though last year: soft muscle and soft tissue injuries.
He looked smoked in his first appearance, though. He was, they said, blowing his ass out or whatever it was called.
Tottenham went close again there. Darlow was nowhere near that. It was a left foot shot, I think it was from Son, and hit the post, bounced back out, cleared to danger. Yeah, it was Son. It was a wicked shot. I'm not sure I think it was a clear shot. Don't think it took a deflection. Just getting a replay here now. Harry Kane with a nice little interlink. Son had a chance to take 2 touches and just struck the ball with venom, and it hit the post. Yeah, unlucky for him. Would Darlow have got to it looking at the different camera angle? Maybe he would have. It was a good save. But yeah, still on the half-hour mark now. Tottenham Hotspur 1, Newcastle United 0.
And there was also that match, where Fraser had to come on after 20 minutes for an injury replacement. So I feel like his his reintroduction to the squad has been mismanaged. Not also the fault of himself, but because of injuries, he's been forced out there before he was ready. I think maybe.
John Justice Allen from QTech, one of our sponsors, says, play a winger at left back and conceded there. It's not rocket science, Brucey. Yeah, I mean, it's always the same. Tottenham Hotspur have had 8 chances on target. Newcastle have had 8 shots, and they've had 5 on target. Newcastle have had 0. I think that tells you all you need to know about how this game is going to go and what happens when you play so defensively. Richie's got to take responsibility for that goal. Had plenty of time to know the player was behind him. Yeah, go ahead, Chris Hall.
Do you know what? Not that I'm a massive fan of his or anything, but I was watching Soccer Saturday yesterday, and Clinton Morrison, I thought he made a really good point. He was saying that, you know, if you continue to play 5 at the back, you're just inviting the pressure on. And I don't think you see many clubs in this league play 5 at the back and it turn out well. I mean, I appreciate if I could understand, say, Morecambe playing 5 at the back against us, you know, midweek. I could understand that if they were to do that. But for us, I mean, look at that. I'm just looking at the stats now. Tottenham have had 8 attempts and we've had none. I just feel like we're just waiting to get to the halfway point. Hopefully, we haven't conceded, but now we have. It's like, well, where's Plan B? Where's Plan C? Where's Plan D? We need to start, you know, pushing out and giving them problems. We've got the players to give them problems, but at the moment we're just sitting back like we've got nothing. And Tottenham are just picking passes and trying to find a gap. And already, you know, it should. You could argue it should be 2 or 3-0.
The 5 at the back is like, for me, it should be like a reactionary thing to how the game's going. It should be a mirror of what's happening on the pitch. But when you start on you know, when you start like in that way, it's difficult to then sort of break out of that. And also, 5 at the back can work if you've got, you know, three accomplished centre backs and two full-backs who are very good and who know what they're doing and they're brave and they get forward and that kind of thing. But our 5 at the back is 3 defenders and 2 midfielders. So what's the point?
Hamda's plays Bill isn't playing.
Yeah.
Oh, corner to Tottenham. Son's going to take it.
I bet Bale's devastated he's not playing. He could have it. He could still
how easy is that, man? Come on. Free header.
Yeah, free header from the corner, went wide, and obviously their Spurs players are quite rightly disappointed with that. It was a golden opportunity, to be honest. Just trying to say who. I couldn't even tell you who left his man. Not one person had him in his sights. Richie was, you know, miles away from him, but no one picked him up. And to be fair, if he hadn't got it, there was a guy running in at the back post who could have got it as well.
And then you've got 3 players, Lascelles, Richie, and I don't know who the other one was. 3 of them just shrugging their shoulders then, as if to say, who's meant to be doing it?
It's not good enough. Not good enough.
I think Russell Johnson's. We've got to agree with Russell Johnson, Nathan. There's no way on earth we're getting back into this shambles.
Yeah, I think we're because we're not even doing the basics right. So we're second to every ball. We're not picking up runners into the box for that corner just then, as you saw. The first ball we're not getting to. We're not getting to the second ball either. And it doesn't seem like there's any kind of ownership of what's going on in that field. There's no leadership. There's no sort of micromanagement of players. It doesn't seem like they're giving each other a shout almost as well. Like we talked about for that, like Martin mentioned for that Richie, he didn't get a shout at all. So yeah, it's not looking good, is it, guys?
It's not. I'm dreading a phone call. There's a well-known, notorious prisoner in the UK who I've written a couple of books with. Charles Salvador is a big Tottenham fan, and I know he's saving one of his phone calls this week to ring me tonight when Tottenham beat Newcastle. He said so. There'll be a bit of gloating from HMP Woodhill tonight, I think. Tottenham 1, Newcastle 0.
I know one of the barmen who works in the Frey Sisters. You know, it's down Tottenham.
Yes. Yeah. Richie, the only person at least appearing to put a little bit of effort in, trying to get the ball into the Tottenham half. You can tell by the size, people watching out there, that This is going to be a long afternoon. It's a difficult watch, to be perfectly honest. Tottenham well up for it. But football, as Jimmy Greaves, who obviously used to play it, but Tottenham used to say, is a funny old game. And, games aren't won at half time. And if Newcastle can keep the score at 1-0, anything is possible. Never say never.
On the wall for that Steve Bruce halftime oration. Steve Bruce is really going to put the fire into those lads and
shoot. It was a free kick, thrown into the box. Fernandez won it. Almiron was on the edge of the box. He hit it first time, but it was cleared by the Spurs defence.
Have we seen Mike Ashley today? I forget.
Yes, he's there, mate. He was with Daniel Levy. We talked about it at the start. If you must have missed that.
Okay.
Tottenham supporter and all.
Newcastle's still on the attack, but Tottenham's defence is equal to anything that Newcastle throw them at the minute, and the ball's back in Newcastle United's half. Starts with Richie again as he tries to build something on the halfway line. Joe Linton at least is making himself available today. He's running off the ball. When he gets the ball, he's stopping it and he's passing it sensibly. So it's hard to be critical of Joe Linton today. I've got to be perfectly honest. People asking on Twitter if he's broken sweat, but he's just doing the simple things, and he's been asked to play.
He's having a run. Go on, then.
Oh,
God. No. So, that's decent.
Yeah.
He's having a go.
Joe Linton,
just do that.
Joe Linton picked the ball up on the centre circle, had a run, beat 4 players, got into the box, lost his footing a little bit, but didn't fall over. And it's something. At least at least he's trying to take the ball in the right direction. Yeah. Again, we'll try and be positive.
Oh, it's a great ball.
Newcastle starting to wake up a little bit. 38 minutes on the clock. It was another great ball. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Spenny.
They're on, man.
Terrible.
Moira through the middle.
Yeah, frustrating that. Almiron lost the ball. Spurs back on the attack. Harry Kane had held the ball up and
go middle. Almiron now.
Led to nothing. Shelby got it back off the got it back for Newcastle on the edge of his own D, played the ball through to Wilson, who took it on the right-hand side. He crossed the ball in to Almiron, but the Spurs defence again was equal to it and cleared it.
Do you know what, Steve? I think I'm a minute or so behind all of you, but straight away, just looking at this, the wing backs are pushed up. They're pushed up, which means the centre backs are pushed up a little bit, and you're not inviting the pressure. If the right near, the centre half circle, and because we're pushed up a little bit, we're just looking a bit more on the front foot. If you sit back and allow pressure, you're just going to get dominated.
But even there, Kane's got that ball in the box, and he's facing off against Hendrick.
Yeah,
it turns him and breaks, and it's a corner. Like how is Hendrick? I know he's there, but what's he doing there?
For me, I don't know why they make Richie captain. He's miles apart of Lascelles during that time one. Totally.
Because he's not first choice, Spenny, I think, and this is the problem. I think Richie should always play. But when you've got the conundrum of Shelvey, Bruce seems to have made some kind of pact with Shelvey since he came to the club, and he just seems to be undroppable. If he's fit, he plays him.
Yeah. For me, that puts us in a difficult position with Lascelles, because for me, based on what I've seen so far this season and last season, I'd have Fernandez and Clark as our centre half pairing.
$1,000,000.
I think we're hamstringing ourselves having Lascelles in there, because we saw it when he got the ball around there, then around the Spurs edge of the Spurs box. His ball into the box, he just scuffed at it. He's not like an accomplished ball player at all, and not that you can always expect that from your centre halves, but we don't get that leadership from him either. It doesn't seem like it. And it seems like he's out of his depth in a lot of these Premier League games. So for me, I'd have Clark and Fernandez in there for sure.
The sooner we bring a captain in, Nath, the better, because I'm not doubting Lascelles' leadership in terms of the way he is with the lads maybe off the pitch. I don't see him as much of a leader on the pitch, and I don't actually think he's a very good centre-back. I haven't done for a long time now. I mean, even if you go back even longer than what you said, Nathan, when we had Char and Lejeune, he couldn't get in ahead. Well, he shouldn't have been getting in ahead of them. But again, because he's got the armbands, that's why he's in the 11.
It's almost like we need to go out and buy. We need to buy, like you said, we need to go out and buy a captain, don't we? We need
Buy
to
a
go out and
captain.
buy.
Yeah. I've said that for a while, and I said, like I said, if the takeover had gone through, I would have liked to have seen us buy a good centre half. You know, you need.
Crossbar.
There's the bar rattle.
Every good team has one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Son again outside the box. He's been allowed too many touches outside the box, but he hit the bar there. Again, it was a wicked left foot shot onto the bar. Darlow beating all ends up. Newcastle clear though through Hendrick, and it's a hopeful punt up to Callum Wilson, who's appealing for a free kick. He doesn't get it, and Spurs get the ball back in the centre of midfield. And
Look how
again,
easy
stop.
that is.
Nobody attacking. Shelby just jogging back as if he's out for a casual jog through the park.
I think we all got excited about Koulibaly, didn't we? When there was talk of the takeover, because as soon as they mentioned Koulibaly, I thought, great. You know, you bring him into at centre back, and you'd say, here's the captain's armband, and you go from there.
Yeah.
5 minutes to go, lads. 5 minutes to go, roughly. Michael Hurst is asking us, do you think Steve Bruce is going to make any changes in the second half or change the formation, Chris?
Oh, I hope so. I just all we're doing is just trying to keep the score from 2-3-4-0. But I'd rather us see us push forward a bit, go forward at the back, and cause them some problems if we lose 2 or 3-0. But we've had a go. I can live with that because Tottenham on the day are a good side. But I'd rather that than lose 2 or 3-0 and just defend the whole match, because it just makes everything. It's poor viewing, and we're never going to get back into it, are we?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Nathan, changes in the second half, mate?
Yeah, I think in terms of, like, Shelby's been a passenger this game for me. Not been good enough whatsoever. I think we're sitting so deep that Spurs have got a lot of players who are really accomplished with long shots from outside the box, and we've seen that already today. They've hit the bar a numerous amount of times. We're inviting that pressure onto it. Yeah, we're inviting pressure onto us, and we're inviting them to take those long shots, and we're not closing them down. We'd be much better if we played a bit of a higher line, I think, against these, and cause they've got pacing behind with Moura, but I don't think it's mirrored on both sides. But yeah, we're just inviting them to take shots at our goal at this point, so we need a bit of a shape change there. I'd like to see them possibly drag Hayden out of centre midfield, because what you're seeing is Harry Kane's dropping quite deep now. He's dropping sort of almost behind Son and Moura. When the ball's not now, but like when the ball's in the sort of middle of the park, and that we're sort of getting outmatched there in midfield, but we've got like these 3 central defenders sat behind them, not doing very much at times like that. So yeah, we need a bit of a shape change. I'm not sure who we bring on, but I'll be looking to take Shelby off. He's just wandering around, isn't he? He's not in this game at all.
Just got a booking for going through the back of a Spurs player as well. Now he's got his petulant lip on, shaking his head, and basically this is when he tends to lose even more interest when he's been booked, because he thinks the whole world's against him. Seen it many a time. Daz?
I'd agree 100% of what you said there, Steve. I'd take Shelby off at halftime. I'd bring on Murphy, switch Hendrick into the middle. I'd probably actually just stick with formation for a while, then mix it up and then bring in Lewis as well. I'm still looking for that hopeful 1-1 here to come back into it.
Is Lascelles injured here?
Somebody's down. It's Lascelles on the deck. He's got his shin pad off, and he's got his sock down. He's pointing towards his knee, but I'm not sure what's going on here. The physio is on now, kneeling down and having a look, and doesn't seem to be in too much pain. Okay, it's just showing it now. It was a block which he didn't seem to come off too badly, and to be fair, it seemed to be catching his toe as opposed to his ankle. It's a hard one. It's an ankle. It's an ankle.
Have a clue, does he? Look at him.
Yeah. There's Hayden. Bruce, what do we do now, Steve? I don't know.
His hand in pockets. No clue.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing with Steve Bruce. You do look at him. It doesn't instill confidence in the fans. There doesn't seem to be a great deal of idea what to say. Derek Wright, of course, our long serving physiotherapist, and doctors have obviously had a bit of an issue at the ground this week. There's been people laid off, and he must be working overtime at the club. When you won't like the look of Lascelles being on his backside and thinking he's got somebody else in the injury room to deal with. But they're just going over
on those videos, or is it still just under investigation?
Under investigation, yeah. Nothing more has really come out about that, mate. Bit of a strange one.
I've never heard anything like that before ever.
No, I mean, the last kind of controversy you heard about a doctor was when Jose Mourinho had a bit of a do with that female on the sidelines. So, yeah, strange one. But we know what it's like with Newcastle. The Beardsley situation dragged on for nearly 2 years, and most people knew what he'd been accused of, but it just leaves a little bit of a bad taste in the mouth. Peter Davison says Spurs are making us look like Morecambe. Al-Walid, changes to the team, second half formation. What would you do? Will Bruce do any?
I think I'm trying to think. It's a bit complicated. I'm not gonna talk about the change of the players. He need maybe change. Maybe Shelby he get a red card. Maybe Lascelles he have maybe ankle sprain or something. But for me, I'm thinking of how we can get a goal. It doesn't look like we are getting a goal.
Get it?
We need to make a tactic to make a goal.
Corner by Rich.
I think that.
Come on.
The most dangerous.
Good chance by Shelby.
Yeah, sorry, Al-Walid. There was a chance there.
I'm just a second behind. I think the best player on the field who can really make something, I think Almiron. So I wish if Almiron become close to Wilson and have some change in attack in the midfield. But I think they need to make a plan to get a goal, because this doesn't look like they're gonna score.
Okay, Martin.
I'd change it up. I mean, at the minute, it's 1-0. So going into the second half, we've got to do something to either get back on the board or something to affect the game. So sticking with 5 at the back, to me, seems pointless. So I would change it up. I'd go up to 4-4-2, give Wilson a bit more support, whether that's Joe Linton pushed a bit further up, or maybe Almiron just in behind him, Joe Linton left, and maybe bring Lewis on, push Hayden out a bit. But yeah, I'd change it. We've got to do something to get back in it. 5's not gonna do nothing at the back. We're just inviting pressure on. If you look at Spurs between Kane, in particular, Son's just sitting between the 2 lines, between the back 5 and the 2 in the middle, 3 in the middle. He's just sitting there and he's pinging passes around. So I think if we stick with this, we'll get caught out again.
Okay, Spenny, half time 1-0.
I fancy Murphy to come on and take Shelby off. That's who I fancy.
Good call, Mike.
Put Murphy on the wing, put Almiron on the other wing, put Hendricks and Hayden in the middle, and the 2 up front. Go back to 4-4-2. Go back to basics.
Good call.
Spenny, I wish you had a direct line into the dressing room. It's a good shout. Okay. Chris?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as Tottenham scored, we should have switched off the 5 at the back. And I agree with the lads to say that bring Murphy on, take Shelby off. I don't know if you'd also want to switch up Hayden, but there just needs to be. We're getting nothing out of the midfield and barely any chances for the strikers. So you just got to switch the strategy, switch the approach, switch the personnel, and that would start with Shelby and Murphy.
Okay, lots of comments coming in. Can't see Bruce changing anything at half time. He'd be happy. It's only 1-0, says Nick. Life Goal says Newcastle should have appointed that Chelsea female. She was apparently a medical innovator. Yeah, I remember that. Bring off Joe for Carroll and Shelby off, says Robbie Lees. Gerard says at 1-0 down, there's a chance, but something needs changing. Saad says 4-2-3-1 would be good with Hayden and Hendricks sitting and bringing Fraser in on the left. Richard's talking about the season in general. He just says if we stay up, it will be only through luck. David Crone says watching Bruce in that break of play sums him up. No direction or animation to the players. Just like he's watching the game, to be fair, David. Stuart Penman says it's like watching the Man City quarter-final all over again. No adventure, no ambition, and no chance unless changes are made. Scott McCartney says, sitting on our box, just inviting them to shoot. Terrible watching it. Tom Lynch says, second half's going to be awful. It's clear Bruce doesn't have a clue. Life goal says Sean and Fraser for Shelby and Big Hendrick. Gamble. And Stephen Warburton says he needs to make changes now, but he never does till it's too late. The Big G says, go 4-3-3 and get Adam. Adam Beckett, I'd like you to come back on, Adam, if you want. I'll just give you a chance to talk about the application for the Supporters Trust again, mate. If you want to jump on at halftime, we can have a quick chat about that just to give you a little bit more support. He just says, misery all over again, lads. Martin Russell says, this is worse than last Sunday. Albert says we should be 6-0 down. Not wrong, mate, after Darlow's fantastic saves. Cruel to be kind says new manager needed before it's too late. Yeah, we'll discuss that, I think, in a minute as well. Trull says Bruce isn't doing things the right way at all. We can't get an HL no attitude from the lads. Not sure what that means. Gerard says exactly. So Steve Bruce and Hayden before half. Hayden talking more than Steve Bruce. No animation at all. Jason Carter says Spurs are nothing special. We are just awful. Tom C says we've made it through 45 minutes defending. Now it's time to go. More attacking. Shadow says looks like we're trying not to concede against the big clubs and hoping to get points against our relegation rivals. David says he does this setup against top clubs. He waves the white flag with his setup. And Scott McCartney says, sorry about my language before. I'm proper mad at how we've played. Steve Bruce doesn't have a clue. It's all right. It's a passionate sport. Martin says there was a moment between Hayden and Bruce on the sideline that told the story. And Martin says, so slow, no movement, can't pass a ball. Fine other than that. So, yeah, lots of comments coming in. Keep them coming in. Lee, I'll finish up with these two. Lisa, Spurs immediately targeted Hayden. Awful setup by Bruce. Can't expect to defend for 80 minutes and hope to nick something. And Stephen Roach says, Bruce doesn't know how to attack. Every club he's managed has played this way. All he knows is to try and stop the opposition. Only used to managing relegation fodder. Yeah, somebody did call this before the kickoff that we would end up with a bit of anti-Bruce rhetoric, you know, and that we would have a lot of sack Bruce rhetoric at full time. Chris, come to you first this time. It will happen. That's what happens on social media. Sack Bruce, and you know if defeats keep coming and performances as bad as this keep coming in, you know, then it will be hard to argue with the fans.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of armchair managers out there, but you know, it's because we care about this club, and we just see when we're in a rut and we keep digging. You know, I just feel like there's just not a lot of inspiration, imagination out there from the side, and you know, that begins with the manager, and you know, it feels a long way off from the optimism of the first week with West Ham and the Cup side, and it feels like we've got more chances in the Cup than we do in being mid-table in the league. But hopefully they figure things out. You know, you kind of need a brain transplant for Bruce or something. But I feel like, you know, we've got the players, the personnel to be a competitive side. It just begins with the manager and the tactics, and it's just the formula is not there to put out a winning side that's trying. And Shelby's lack of effort is just emblematic of sort of where we are, and I just want to see him turned over.
Spenny, the Bruce Out campaign, I'm sure will be in full effect on Twitter later on. You know, it's still hard. I mean, it's early days in the season, but can you see where fans are coming from, the ones who've commented so far?
I can, yes. Because in the day we're playing Tottenham, we're playing 5 in the back. We're not playing Man City, we're not playing Liverpool, we're not playing Chelsea, we're playing Tottenham. Tottenham's there for the taking. If you tell me, I said earlier on, that defence is in for the taking, as simple as that. All they need is the 4-4-2 instead of playing 5-3-2. Simple as that. It's just, his tactics are wrong again. It's like what I said at the beginning of the game. He puts his names on the bloody ball, and that's it. You play there, and that's it. He hasn't got a clue. He won't make a change either till 10 minutes at the end of the game. Is still 1-0.
Yeah, fair enough. Shearer says it should be 6-0 to Spurs. Adam, I'm going to bring you in now because I know you've just popped back on. I asked you to come back on. Just first of all, you know, the Bruce out comments have started early, half time, not even full time. You know, is it too early for that kind of stuff?
Oh, I think we're gonna have this conversation every week, aren't we? I think until something happens. I mean, it's so hard to say when the team is playing that way. It's so hard to decipher whether it's the manager, whether it's the players, or whether it's the opposition. I mean, Spurs actually have looked pretty ordinary, in my opinion. My stream is about 3 minutes behind you guys, which is why I jumped off. So thanks for having me back on. It was easier just to watch you guys than watch the game. So I don't think Spurs look like world beaters. I think we're playing with a mentality that's so defeatist that it's just, to Spenny's point, right, as I came back on there, we're not playing a top 4 elite club today. So we've gone in with an attitude that we are, and we're playing with just so much respect for the opposition. I mean, not only are we playing on the edge of our own box, but we're also playing about 10 yards off them all the time. We're giving them all 10 yards as soon as they pick up the ball, and we're not pressing until they're 10 yards away from our box. It's a mind-blowing mentality, really, in a game where in some ways you've got nothing to lose, right? We weren't expected to win. We weren't even expected to get a draw. So to play that way right off the bat is very, very frustrating, in my opinion. Very, very hard to watch. I was talking with Kendall on Twitter. It's so slow. It's so painful. When we do get the ball, it's like everyone freezes and stands still. I can't tell you how many times I've just watched Matt Ritchie pick up the ball on a breakdown of their possession. He looks up, he looks to the side, he ends up passing it back to Lascelles, who passes it to Hayden. Across the back we go, and then we give up possession in our own half again. So the 30% possession that we have had, or the 25%, has all been in our half, other than a couple of quick breakaway moments. So yeah, very, very difficult to watch.
Yeah, welcome to Pete. I'll come to you in a bit, Pete. Adam, I just want to, before you shoot up, I just want to ask you, how the NUST application form went and your campaign, etc. Have you enjoyed doing that? And are you confident?
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I mean, the application process has been good so far. I want to thank you, obviously, Steve, and all of the NUFC Matters family and community for all of the support that I've had over the last week or so. There's much more about what I want to do as a member of the trust board on my Twitter handle, which you can all check out. I mean, most importantly, I think that just the board needs to have sort of a much broader representation of Newcastle fans. I think it's time that the board sort of comes into the reality that Newcastle is an international club with an international supporter base. And to have a board member or 2 or 3 perhaps from another place or another country in some cases would really help out. I think the board needs to work much closer with other fan groups, other fan communities, and really sort of embrace the fact that Newcastle has this massive supporter base, and we could do so much more together when we are united. I mean, I will say that I think the local community needs the board's help more than ever as well. I mean, I've talked about food banks on here before. I've talked about the work that the foundation does. And I don't know how much coordination happens through the trust with those groups, but I think it should be significantly more. And I think we just need more interaction with the fan base. I mean, the board has close to 14,000 members now, but usually the participation in their surveys is only about 2,000 to 3,000. So I think they just need to do a better job of making sure that they get closer to 70 or 80% participation so that they can be truly representative of the fans. So we'll see what happens. There's still a couple of weeks until voting starts. I posted this morning when the window is for the voting. It's in about 10 days from now, and it runs until mid-October. So there's a long way to go. But, I do appreciate everyone's support on here. If you're not a member yet of the trust, but you'd like to obviously participate and hopefully vote for me, then it's only a couple of quid to join. And obviously I would appreciate everyone's feedback. I mean, I want it to be an open forum. I think we need to have a more open debate generally about how the trust can help supporters. So the more feedback I get from obviously the panelists on here, the ladies from the Ladies Night crew, I love talking to them about Newcastle. And obviously your community at NUFC Matters has just been tremendous. So any feedback, I'd love to get it. Obviously, give me a follow on Twitter or check out my Twitter feed for sort of more of my general platform. But yeah, I appreciate the opportunity. I've got to jump off now and take my daughter to swimming classes. So I appreciate everyone's support, and I'll talk to you all soon.
Cheers again, Adam. Well done. Good luck. And get a lot of support from the fans. Good to hear from you. Take care, mate. Martin, the Steve Bruce out fan club are back on Twitter again. Just had a quick look there, and lots of references to dinosaurs, etc. Your view?
Yeah. Look, I mean, he just is what he is. He's from a different era. I think I said it during the cup game during the week. He's maybe one or two left of a different dynasty, I suppose, of your Redknapps and your Hodgsons and so on, who are being gradually replaced by different thinking, more analytical, more medical, more scientific coaches that have developed the sport and the game beyond where Bruce is at. I don't think he's going to change it at half time. I'd be surprised. I don't think he'll make any immediate changes. Are we going to swap him out? I don't think we will. I think the point was made the other night. Mike is only going to make that move to protect the asset, and at the minute, it's not likely under threat. Maybe after Christmas, possibly if we're still in a bad position, but I can't see him doing it immediately. So I think he'll be here for the foreseeable, and I think we'll be dished up the foreseeable, apart from maybe 2 or 3 lucky wins and a break of the ball somewhere along a season. But I think, to be fair, that's no different than we got last season. I said on Wednesday night, 4 wins out of 20, lads. The stats don't change. We should be used to it by now. So I get the Twitter, I get the feeds, and people going Bruce out, but I can't see it changing.
Ian, read your mind, Martin. He came up with the actual stats, and Chris, you can take Ian up on this. Lose this, and it'll be 5 wins out of 23 in the Premier League. That is a damning statistic for any Premier League manager, Chris Hall.
Yeah, it is. I was of the same thinking as Martin. I don't see him going anywhere. Although I do fully appreciate all the comments that people are making on Twitter, and I think I was defending Bruce last week, and I wanted to try and give him a chance this season. But I've got to be honest. I mean, you saw how happy I was when I didn't think we were going 5 at the back, and the fact that he's reverted to 5 at the back now, I feel like I'm done with him. I could have predicted this was going to happen, as I'm sure most of you could have. And if we continue to play like this against teams who are in not even top 6, he does it against top 10. We'll play Wolves. He'll do exactly the same thing. He'll do it against Everton. He'll do it against all these clubs. And the trouble is, it's not working. I mean, okay, last season I know we got that lucky 1-0 win against Chelsea. We had another couple of lucky wins, didn't we? Where we just scraped by and we just managed to get one. In fact, we got one against Tottenham. But to actually watch, the football that's being served up, and we're buying these better players. We've got our squad now is better than it was last season, and we're just on the road to nowhere. That's how it feels. I hope he chases things up this second half, and I hope that going forward he will improve. But like you say, I don't think anything's going to change.
Thanks, Pete. No changes for the second half, and Spurs have gone close again. Harry Kane continuing his own personal jinx against Newcastle by almost hitting the corner flag from inside the box against Darlow. So it appears that Kane just tries too hard. But yeah, the game's kicked off. Unchanged team so far for Newcastle. Pete, what's been your take on the game so far? And on those comments we've been reading about Steve Bruce, which don't really come as much of a surprise, let's be honest. Yeah, you need to unmute, Pete. You've just done a Steve Wraith.
Done it again. I'm not really surprised with regards to the comments about Bruce. As I mentioned before, he's had money and players that he wants to give into him now, so there's no excuses. He can't use the excuses that he hasn't had a window or 2 transfer windows. He's had them now. He's got the players in that he wanted. if he doesn't get the results and the performances, then it'll be on his head. So I'm not surprised that fans are not happy. I'm not happy to see the fact that we're playing 5 at the back, because he was so adamant that he wanted to change from 5 at the back going in the middle of last season. He was so adamant he wanted that change. He got his wish. Performances did get better. So why revert back to it now? The issue about the 5 at the back, I don't have that much of an issue with it as long as we have an attacking threat. Whenever he's had 5 at the back, we don't have an attacking threat whatsoever. And it's proving today. I mean, I'm watching. I feel so sorry for Callum Wilson. It was 18 minutes into the game. You can already see his frustration because there's 20 yards between him and the midfield. I mean, what is he supposed to do up there? He's in no man's land. It's such a frustrating situation to be in. And like I think it might have been Adam and a couple of other people have said, Tottenham haven't even looked that great. If we went with any sort of attacking emphasis to Tottenham, they would start to crumble because them defensively are not very good at all. And if we had any sort of attacking threat in us in the second half, we could at least nick a goal. But I'm not confident with it with Bruce in charge. I'm just not, because tactically he's so unaware. He can be a good manager. He can put an arm around players, fair enough. But a Premier League manager in this day and age, in this modern age of football, you need more than just man management. You need a tactical awareness, and he hasn't got it. And until we have someone in charge that does have that, we're going to continue to see performances like this. And that's the biggest frustration. And I think that's the frustration for all of the Newcastle fans at the moment, is that we just don't see anything changing.
Yeah, we can't. Al-Walid, the Steve Bruce. Oh, just watching again. There was another corner for Tottenham, and it was a flick at the near post. Darlow got down well though, and again gathered the ball. Another good save by Darlow, continuing to keep the score down. And Al-Walid, Steve Bruce hasn't got many fans, it appears, on social media today.
Because you remember when we said what he was talking with Hayden and the sideline. He looks to me, he's like was mind freezing. He didn't know what to do. It come to my attention, one of the comments on the screen. Someone says about luck, that we will go through the season by luck. Tottenham was suffering. Tottenham was suffering at the beginning, but after the goal, they got relaxed. Actually, it's not totally Richie's fault. He's try to lift. He play him as left back. Also, the goal, it should be. Lucas Moura, he's a center midfield, so the center midfielder was supposed to watch him, or cover him.
Hit it. Come on. Come on. Arms are down.
Yeah, Newcastle with an opportunity there. It fell to Richie on the edge of the box, and
hang on. VAR check. No.
Is there a VAR check?
Nah, it wasn't a handball.
Nah,
his arms are well down behind his back.
No way.
Pete, after the weekend we've had with VAR and referee decisions, you never say never with a handball in the box these days. It's so unpredictable.
You're right. They're all over the place. With the handball situation, really
crazy yesterday, mate.
But I mean, there's no way.
Shelby in the middle. Look at Shelby.
Yeah, we're just interrupting the broadcast for Newcastle attack, which is a rare thing today. Actually keeping a little bit of possession of the ball, but lost the momentum, slowed it right down. And under Bruce, and this has become quite evident in the first few games, even against the lower league opposition in the Cup, that we do tend to try and build from the back. And when I say build from the back, I mean back to the edge of the own box, when maybe it's a thought of just pushing forward would make more sense. But it's definitely a trait that the team's got. If we lose the ball on the edge of the 18-yard area, we seem to be devoid of all ideas. Don't decide to look for Wilson or Joe Linton or whoever's happened to be up there. We'll pass it back. Shelby trying to walk the ball through the Spurs defenders in the box. It's a ball in from the right-hand side.
It's a free.
Spurs fill in the box. Richie at the back.
Joe
Well
Linton
beat.
getting booked.
Professional foul.
Professional foul by Joe Linton. Yeah.
Good, I'm glad he was like.
Is that Joe Linton's first booking ever?
It could well be. It could well be. Fair play
Well,
to him.
he saw what was happening and he did something about it. So
Yeah.
getting stuck in, so fair play to him.
He only
It's a
goes
new
after Brazilian on Brazilian.
It's a new Joe Linton today. Something's definitely clicked into place. Don't get us wrong. He's not a world beater. He's not suddenly justifying that £40 million fee. But what he is doing is he's putting a bit of effort in today, which is all anybody can ever ask.
He doesn't want to get shown up by a fellow Brazilian,
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Steve, right? But I've been in football and I played football, right? The first thing you do is have a go at the keeper, see what the keeper's like. Have a shot on goal. That's what pays me off. Why can't I have a shot on goal? It's just the keeper out straight away.
Well, that's one thing. That's one thing Malcolm MacDonald always says. If you have a shot on goal, it's better to miss. Better to have 6 shots and miss, because at least you're having a go. And I don't understand why they don't do that. Daz, the Steve Bruce scenario for you. I mean, how much further can we go? We've had this discussion last week, but it's a question which I have a feeling we're going to be asking for the next few weeks, the way we're playing at the moment.
Yep. Just in relation, to Mr. Bruce. I didn't want him in the first place. I don't want him now, and I don't want him at Christmas. But we're going to be stuck with him. He's Ashley's man. He's giving him some money now. He needs a few games as well to work with that. But we're going to be stuck with him. I don't know. We're probably wasting our time calling for his head, even though we will continue to do that. But Ashley isn't going to change him until perhaps Christmas, if we're looking dodgy, if we're looking in the relegation spaces and everything's in threat. But until then, he's going to stick with him. I don't think, no matter how much we shout about it, he's not going to change it. We've seen it in the past. It's as Martin said, it's only when his asset is in danger he'll do something about it. Really.
Byrony, good to see you back on. She says they've got to have the ball first to be able to test the keeper. Yeah, you're not wrong. Nathan, the Bruce Out campaign is underway again on Twitter. Do you agree with Daz? Do you think we're stuck with him?
Get in the box.
Yeah, the campaign's out again, but why wouldn't it be? It's deplorable to watch this football, isn't it? It's absolutely awful. I think it's a case of you look at different managers and you look at what they bring to their teams, and you see that. Like a manager like Sean Dyche, for example, the tactics they're nothing special. It's all based on work rate, and they've got a very clear game plan and they stick to it. We don't have a game plan, for one thing. But what sets us back even further is it seems like Bruce doesn't really demand that work rate. He doesn't demand 110% from his players every time they go on the pitch, because we've got players that are in here today that have been abject all season, such as Shelby, and they're still getting in the team ahead of people that did well midweek. There's no fitness concerns for Longstaff, but then he's not playing after playing well midweek.
Go on, Joe.
Hit it.
So it's very hard to defend Bruce at this point. We've given him 23 games now, benefit of the doubt, and we've given him a chance to prove us wrong. He's come at us with all sorts of excuses. The excuses last season were that this team didn't know how to play anything other than Rafa's brand of football. So he switched to play like that and had some success with it. He's had transfer windows now to bring in his own team. He's brought in his own players who he wants to fit that mold. And he said, he was saying last season, I want to do more attacking football. I want to be more expansive and be more attractive football to watch. But we've brought the players in now, but he's not showing us any of that. It's all more of the same as it was last season. We've got Callum Wilson up front at £20 million striker. What's the point? There's nothing behind him at all, as the lads have said. There's no interplay. There's no link up between the midfield and him. So we might as well have Joselu or anybody stood up there for that matter, because it doesn't matter that he's up there. I think it's really difficult to carry on defending him at this point, and I think it's if anyone wasn't sure, I think it's deplorable that the way that a lot of the narrative in the media and the way that people talk about him, like Martin mentioned, the old guard of people like Merson and those guys, how they'll stick up for him every single week, but they can't stick up for him much longer based on
why would you do that there?
No, but the Sky narrative never changes, lads. They never mention his win rates. They never mention his tactics. They never mention how poor he is, and it's never mentioned. Never mentioned.
Do want to mention there that Joe
Probably
Linton did actually have another shot on target. Slightly off target, but again, the work rate from Joe Linton, cut inside, took a shot across goal. Something we're not used to seeing. I dare say it. If this continues, I might have to say that Joe Linton's probably been our man of the match. But we'll come to that a little bit later. Yeah.
What did your missus put in your cup of tea, lad?
Exactly. Outfield player Darlow's been clearly man of the match. Benny, you're right, but Joe Linton has had probably one of his better games, and I've been watching him. He has put the effort in, shots on target, defending, doing everything he's been asked, and it's what he should be doing on a regular basis. If he does this on a regular basis, there's a chance for him to turn things round, because ultimately he could score some goals against lesser opposition. But let's see what happens.
Steve, he's doing your 10 game maximum. I think he's like, I've only got 6 games left with Wraith.
Yeah, maybe he's panicking a little bit.
Just in relation to what Martin was saying there, I think what Sky are missing is what they need to do is put in an offer to Bulgarian TV and get Andre on and to get some decent stats.
Yeah,
he's very good.
What you're saying, Martin, because like now with the comparisons that they've made with Rafa and Bruce, they won't make those comparisons now, because probably it's ticked. The stats were very similar in terms of win rate, in terms of points and that kind of thing at this point in the season. But when we'll have probably ticked past the point where now his stats are worse than Rafa's, so we won't hear from it. That comparison won't be made on Sky anymore.
We're still in this, guys. For all of the awful performance that we put in, and how defensive we are as a team, all it takes is a 5 or 10% attacking threat, and we're still in this game. And that's the frustrating thing about it all. They might go and score a second, who knows? But at this point right now, we're still well in this game.
Yeah, Pete, I agree. We need to bring off Shelby and bring on Murphy just to switch it up a bit for a while, and then go more attack.
68%
something to think about.
68% possession for Newcastle in the first period of this second half. Kane, though, just has another shot, which Darlow was equal to. Still 1-0 to Tottenham Hotspur.
Oh, so frustrating.
I can see he's nicking the goal here.
There's a real chance we can nick something.
A couple of shots to Jose on the sidelines. He doesn't look confident, does he, Pete? Jose always looks a bit pensive when he's playing Newcastle.
Yeah. And I'm not surprised, because, right at the start of the second half, we did up it a little bit, and we did look like we could create something. Go on, Joe.
Go on, Joe. Ball in.
Nice.
It's not a bad ball. Hit it.
Unlucky.
But again, that's another
build up.
We've just upped it in 2 minutes. That extra 5%, and already we're creating chances. The defense is there to be had. They're not great at the back. They can see goals, but we just need to be confident in our abilities going forward.
Yeah. Just if Almiron had handled that ball better, we would have been.
I think they could practice shooting.
I think the thing is as well, Pete, that this isn't even Spurs' first choice back four.
No.
Like Alavede's on the bench, he's playing Dyer near enough as a left back, so it's not a strong, solid Spurs back four.
That's it. And with Son going off the pitch, it depletes them even further.
17 shots, 8 on target, 4 shots, 0 on target for us. That's
consistent.
Yeah. If Almiron had trapped the ball better, we would have been in business, but he couldn't trap it.
Ian Hutchinson says, with Joe Linton being our best outfield player at the moment, what's the betting Bruce takes him off? Another save by Darlow.
Oh, Christ.
I have to say, you guys know, because I've said it on the I'm not a fan of Darlow at all, but he's had a good game today. Darlow's played well today.
Unfortunately for Jamal Lascelles, he's just took one in the family allowance, and he's down injured. Anyone who's played any kind of football and took a ball in your knackers That is painful. And the worst thing for Lascelles was, as the ball was hit by Kane, he went back and he took the ball. And believe you me, I've had that done myself. And that was it took about 20 minutes for that stinging to finish. So
Steve, it was in his gut. It wasn't the family jewels. It was in his gut.
It looked like it was in his family jewels. The way
I know.
what he's holding there, like.
Took me 30 minutes to get my balls back down to here.
The replay is higher, slightly higher.
I'm afraid Chris is walking like John Wayne. That didn't hit anything other than his family. That's definitely his family allowance up the spout. He's not happy at all. You can tell by his face.
All right.
By the way,
you do what you want to do.
We've just seen Steve Bruce is pointing and speaking to Matt Ritchie about something. It looks as if we've got some clear tactics. Steve Agnew's got some kind of board and a pencil.
He's got to go to 4 at the back. He's got
Where's
to.
Murphy? I mean, come on,
guys. What do you think about Jamal Lewis being on the bench?
Yeah,
strange.
I
I think
thought
he's
weird.
good.
Did you
How
guys
can
see
you
the
be on the
pictures?
bench for a black eye?
Did you see the pictures
You'll
of
get
training?
balls, black eye, yeah.
He had no marks on his eye whatsoever. And Bruce talked about him.
Yeah,
having
he looks
some
like
serious
he's
injuries.
ready.
He looks absolutely fine. It baffles me that he's not playing today.
Bruce
It really does.
Bruce shambles. Bruce shambles.
Lascelles is not good here.
Matt Ritchie to use him as a playmaker, kind of playmaker also as well.
Dr. Roctus is right in the meeting too, Veg. He's not wrong. And that takes, from personal experience, that can take anything from 10 to 20 minutes for it to clear up because you end up walking gingerly. It's the stinging's not nice at all. Like, and it feels, it's like a combination of being winded and being kicked up the backside at the same time. It's not nice. Like, the Cells still managed to clear the ball there. I've had to turn the TV volume down. I thought there was a squeaking on the TV. It's actually Lascelles' voice. So we're on the 65-minute mark. Lascelles seems to be picking himself up, whatever the injury was. It was funny to think it was in his meeting too, Veg. I'm not sure whether it was. We didn't have the luxury of VAR's slow replay to sort it out. But yeah, look, lads, a bit more about we in this half. Chris, we'll come to you first. A bit more about us in the second half. We're looking a bit more attack-minded. There's always the concern, though, that Spurs are going to just go up the other end and get that second goal and finish us off.
I just see Shelby lumbering there in the middle, not doing anything. He just looks out of it. And I want to put somebody on dynamic. Like, I mean, where's Murphy? Murphy should be getting a chance.
Murphy would be my next sub on 100%. Shelby, as the game goes on, he becomes a lot more tired, and with that tiredness becomes a lack of concentration, and that's where the midfielders will start getting in on him as the game dwindles on. He's not as dynamic as what we need him to be for 90 minutes. He has 10 or 15 minute bursts here and there. It's not enough. Not in a game like this.
I want to see some lads warming up on the sideline, but they don't show that.
No. Spenny, happy with this second half so far?
Richie down.
Lewis on. Put Lewis on. Put Richie up the front.
Cleaned out.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then I think Shell's just walking about looking very buttery, isn't he? Well, he's talking about.
I missed that incident there. Was it off the ball or was it a...
I think it was Doherty and Richie. I'm not sure if he got an arm, but...
He cleaned him out.
He's not looking great.
Shelby's playing like he's looking for Harry Potter.
Wow.
Lucas is standing over Richie here. Richie is in... Richie's not wanting to stay down. Is it his shoulder popped?
Could be when he goes on the floor here. Oh dear, oh dear.
Yeah, landed.
Potential concussion there.
That's an arm up as well from Doherty, isn't that?
Oh, hit.
Yeah, it's like a shoulder and a head concussion.
Fair play to both players. I was on the ball, but he did lead with his arm, caught Richie in the head, but it's his shoulder that's given him the injury. Fell awkwardly, and it looks as if he's having his shoulder popped. And if that's the case, ow.
I think he happened before at the shoulder, didn't he? couple of seasons ago. He showed pop out.
Possibly.
Yeah, when he's out injured.
That kind of injury doesn't go away, Martin, either, does it? Getting your shoulder out.
No, it's not an easy. It's a repetitive. Can be an easy knock. Can be something simplistic. Even I've seen lads get it in training, just grabbing a bib or something, and it just pops back out. So it's easy enough.
Could be wiping your backside and it can pop out. It's an absolute nightmare if that's what it is. But we'll wait and see. Obviously, play's still stopped. As usual, Sky doing a camera around the ground, so we've got no idea what's going on the floor. Physio's still on.
Yeah, Richie's coming off.
Yeah, Richie's gone.
Lewis has to come on here.
I think Chris was right. He's concussed. I think he's been told. He's strapped his arm.
He's wrapping the arm in the shirt as he's taking him off.
It's a shoulder and a head.
Dear me, how he's in the wars. That's for certain. He's going off looking like Napoleon. And here comes Lewis with a good opportunity to have a look at his eye. There is some kind of cut there. Richie's shaking his head. He can't believe it.
We had no idea what Lewis's eye was going to look like, but looking at it there, it seems like if that's the only injury that he sort of sustained from last week, then why is he not starting?
Yeah. Good news for me and Nathan this week. We don't have to pay £10 for the Carabao Cup. It's on Sky. Thanks, Frankie. Yeah, you're right. Happy days. It happened. We'll all be in sync as well, or roughly in sync anyway. It happened to Stephen Taylor. He was never the same. You're right. Life goals. David Crone, Brian Robson's used to pop out all the time. Yeah, he had 101 injuries. Brian Robson. Richie looks like he's in agony line on the pitch. Yeah, sorry, it's a late text we just got in from Tom there. Going back to the goal, Lewis would not have let that happen, says Stephen Warburton. Interesting.
Lewis, give it to him. Give it to him.
Yeah.
So yes. 69 minutes played. Newcastle United are still a goal down at Tottenham, but a lot more promising in the second half, Chris Hall. It's been a lot more entertaining.
Yeah. I don't know whether entertaining's the word, but there's definitely been a bit more. There's been a bit more going on. We're higher up the pitch. I think Lewis coming on is going to be a good thing. Again, I know I keep harping on about it, but I hope we go back. I hope we go to 4 at the back. I obviously hope Richie's okay now that he's gone off. But yeah, do you know what? Things have improved. We just need to try and get Wilson more involved. Joe's done really well today. Joe's been having a go, which is really nice to see. So yeah, bit more from Wilson today. Hopefully we can give him the ball more and maybe see something. That's what I'm hoping anyway for the last 20 minutes.
Okay, mate. Good stuff, Pete.
I'm just looking now. It looks like Hayden's gone into midfield. So it looks like we've gone 4 at the back. So I'm just hoping that we're really going to go from now and really put it up them and see what happens. Just put that a little bit more pressure on. Get Almiron closer to Wilson so he's got someone to play off, and then just make them look backwards. Make them look defensively. That's what we need to do.
Well done.
And it's in situations like this that we need to be better and not do that and give the ball away. That's what we don't want to be doing.
Well done.
Al-Walid?
Yes, I just was a little. It's weird for me why they didn't put ice or arm sling for Richie shoulder. I think Richie was Mr. Bruce he put Richie to play double role as a left back and also a left midfielder. Maybe that's why, because we see, as you're saying, guys, we saw Jamal Lewis ready for the game, so that's why he play him to win extra player, since he play Hayden as defense center back. So maybe he went to play someone half left back, half left midfielder. Maybe that's why his tactic. Also, I am. I'm not happy with the. As I said, it doesn't look that they depend on luck to score a goal. We depend on luck to score a goal, which is we are happy with the defense, but no, it doesn't look like we are gonna score. Still, we have no shot on target still.
Yeah, some interesting play again from Spurs, but Miggy sniffed it out, and Hendrick got the ball, and Newcastle clearing the lines again on the halfway line. Daz?
Yeah, I think it's time for the changes now. If we are looking like we've gone to some kind of something resembling a 4-4-2, it's as we said a few times, it's time to get Shelby off, move Hendrick in the middle, put Murphy out the wing, and then look at the time for Big Andy as well for the last 15 minutes. Roll the dice. As might as well lose 2 or 3-0 as 1-0, and at least go for it. Have a shot at it and see can we get something. See can we get that draw.
Nathan?
Well done, Joe. Well done.
Yeah, I think we're getting to that stage of the game now. We need to make some changes quite quickly because we've kept it to 1-0, which seems to be the objective of the game, just to try and not concede. This is a point where we're like, why not double down now and go for this game, because we've got nothing to lose. We're in a position where we might look back on this game at the end of the season and we could have needed points from this. You know, like the way the season's going so far. He's taking Hendrick off for Murphy now, which is I'm surprised he's taking Hendrick. Hendrick's had a very poor game, but I don't think he's been as poor as Shelby has. So I'm surprised that Shelby's still on the pitch, to be honest. I think what we need to do is, it looks like Miggy's playing somewhat central now. He's looking to float around. What I would have done though, I'd have tried to get Almiron over on the left hand side, because we've got Lewis now down this left hand side, who's a bit more of an attacking threat going forward. It'll be better to see him linking up with Almiron than it would be linking up with Joe Linton. I don't think Joe Linton will offer him very much at all down this left hand side. So I feel like we should bring Miggy over to this side as well to give, just to try and link up some play between Lewis down the left side to Miggy and to hopefully to Wilson.
Well done.
Newcastle on the attack again.
Come on, get the ball into the box.
Guys, I'm still yet to see a shot on target.
Yeah, you're right. Almiron crossed the ball in, cleared again by Spurs.
Darren Gannon's a bit and I make a shot.
15 minutes to go then, guys. 15 minutes to go. Are we going to get anything from this, Chris?
I'd like a shot, to be fair.
You think a shot, Chris? Chris, are we got any chance of getting anything from this game? Chris, we can't hear you. Your internet.
Call Joe Linton equalizer.
All right, okay. Well, all we got there was Joe Linton equalizer, so possibly you think we can get something. Spenny, last 15 minutes, are we going to get something from this, Spenny?
I think we will. I think it'll go.
Okay. Martin?
No, I think it's going to stay like this.
Right, okay, Pete?
I can only... I hope that we can get something. I think the changes might give us more of an attacking emphasis, but I can't say anything more than what we're seeing right now, unfortunately.
Our lead, are we going to get something?
I saw many games for Tottenham when they are ahead of one goal, or they are ahead in the game. It's very difficult to get scored, to get a goal against them, but hopefully there is maybe some, they should plan for the attack, single attack. They should plan and talk with each other. But it doesn't mean, I still try to finding Wilson. Spot him.
Daz, are we going to nick a thing? Are we going to nick a point here?
Yeah, we're going to go 1-1, and it's going to be Big Andy.
Okay, Nathan.
Yeah, I think it's sort of criminal that we've left it to 75 minutes to make such changes to our shape and to the team. I think the way that it's looked is that the second half's been an improvement, but let's not be under any illusions that the performance in the second half has still been way below what we'd expect from the team. It's been not acceptable at all, and we're taking Almiron off now as well. So maybe that's all the hopes of an equaliser are out the window. I'm not sure. But yeah, I think it's been an unacceptable performance up to now. We've had possession in the second half, but let's not pretend we've done anything with it, because we haven't. But I can't see us getting back into this just because of the lack of shape, and the ball's not sticking in the final third for us really. So
Andy Carroll could not pick a better game to break his duck, so let's hope he can get something and salvage a point for Newcastle United. Sad is still wondering why on earth Shelby is still on the pitch, and I think that was backed up there by Pete and a few others on the show. Big thanks again to the guys at Darren Baldwin Funerals who are sponsoring us this month, and to QTech. Big shout out to them. And just in case you haven't been to the channel before, please click subscribe. You do get notifications when we go live, which is at the moment during these COVID days, 7 days a week. Got different shows each week. So tomorrow night, 7:30, we've got the girls' ladies' night. Always a great show. Tuesday night, we have Liam Kennedy on from the Shields Gazette for any transfer or takeover update. Again, always a good show with them. Wednesday night sees John Gibson and Supermac, legendary Supermac, former number 9 of this parish. Thursday, we tend to leave open for different guests. Last week, we had Malcolm on his own, but we've had the likes of John Beresford, Lee Clark, Steve Howie, Steve Watson, you name it, all been on there. Goalkeepers from yesteryear. And Friday nights, of course, is the Three Amigos, and we always have a different poster for the lads. I'm sure they'll appreciate that one. And Saturdays and Sundays depends on when Newcastle are playing, but we always have the guys who you're seeing in front of you now. We always have the worldwide show, which is always great. Different supporters on from around the world. So plenty to watch each and every week on NUFC Matters. Thanks very much for your support. Click subscribe, and if you're feeling generous, click join and make a small donation to the channel. Another substitution, Lucas is going off. Lucas Moura going off for Tottenham. Eric Lamela coming on, and 79 minutes on the clock now. Newcastle United still 1-0 down at Tottenham. George says Shelby doesn't suit our system anymore. He isn't mobile enough or fast enough. We need a midfielder that has got pace and quality to open up defences. Robert doesn't agree with us. He says, I've lost hope in the draw now because we never look dangerous. And Tom's asking if we've got the watch along on Wednesday. Yes, we'll be doing Match Day Live this Wednesday. But we will have Supermac and Gibbo on together. 4 till 5, and then we'll be starting Match Day Live at 5 o'clock and going all the way through the cup game. As I say, happy days. We haven't got to pay a tenner to watch it. For those of us who've got Sky, anyway. Joe Linton starting was the problem for Ben. Be interested to know if you've changed your opinion, Ben. I think Joe Linton has probably been our best outfield player today. Give us your views on that if you can. Local Hero says, any chance of putting the score and match clock on the screen? Unfortunately, it's not something we can do on a regular basis because we can only stick up the comments from the supporters, which is quite good for us really. But we'll keep giving regular shout outs and keep letting you know as best we can. As just over 80 minutes played, still 1-0 to Tottenham. 2 shots on target in 3 Premier League games, Daz. There's a stat for you.
That's a good ball. That's a free kick, surely. Surely. That was a good ball into his feet there.
So 10 minutes to go. The panel feel as if we can get a point here. Carroll shouting and bawling across at the referee. Seen plenty of that over the years. Not getting any change out of the referee though as Spurs start again. Get the ball over the halfway line. Newcastle need something. They need a spark. They need a bit of creativity. They need a magic moment from Shelby. They need a goal from Carroll. As I say, this would be a good day for Andy Carroll to break his duck since coming back to the club. Chris Smart says, Wilson must be wondering why he left Bournemouth. Better attacking threat than us so far this season. Troll says, nice to see Joel working for a change. I hope he keeps it up. Ben, 1-0 really does not reflect our performance. Bruce out, I'm afraid. Robert Dobson says, Joe Linton has done okay. I think there's just no efforts on target. Barry Hogan says, nothing wrong with Joe. It's Shelby who shouldn't be playing. John R says, Newcastle fan here all the way from Texas. Same old Newcastle results. You're not wrong, John. Sadly, mate. Hopefully you've got a lot better weather than we have. Sunny, but very, very cold. back in the northeast today.
No.
Referee gives a free kick, I think, on the edge of the box.
Lewis booked.
Lewis booked, yeah.
Just outside.
Free kick just on the edge of the box. Damon says Bruce out. Not the only one. Yeah, it was a bit of a judo karate mixed martial arts move there by Lewis on the Spurs player who hit the deck as if he'd been shot. But he'll be up now and ready for the free kick. Newcastle need to organise properly here. Might have to call on the services of Darlow, who let's start talking man of the match, guys. I mean, Chris, I think there's no doubt for me that you got two contenders today. I think you're going to have to give it to Darlow for keeping the score down. But Joe Linton has played well today. There's no doubt about it. But my man of the match, I'm going to go Darlow. Chris, what about you?
Yeah, no, I would agree with you, Steve. I mean, perhaps Joe Linton has been one of our better outfield players, but if not for Darlow, we'd be, gosh, right there, be 2 or 3 or 4 down. So yeah, man of the match, Darlow.
Just as Chris was talking there, another great save. The free kick from Tottenham was whipped in with a bit of pace on it. Darlow got his got his wall right. He was going the wrong way, then suddenly changed his mind and went back across. He could have been beaten at the near post, but he was well on top there. Spenny, your man of the match, Spenny, please.
Oh. Definitely Darlow.
Run at him. Play it. Oh, for God's sake.
I'm praised about Darlow as well. I mean, worries about him replacing the work there, but I'm on the moon with today's performance.
Get up, Andy.
One of the best things we've seen today.
Martin, your man of the match.
Yeah, I think I agree. Darlow, first high performance, could have been 3 or 4 down within the first 20 minutes. So I think Darlow, I would give mention. I think Joe Linton has played well today. He's put in a bit of graft. He's got back and forwards, played a couple of good balls. So if he keeps putting in that effort and keeps working hard, then we'll see what we get. But yeah, Darlow for me today.
Yeah, he has. He's been outstanding. Pete?
Yeah, Darlow's the standout for me. It would have been a lot worse a scoreline right now if it wasn't for him. And as I keep saying, he's a guy that I don't really rate as a goalkeeper, but fair play to him. The couple of times he's played against West Ham and today when I've been on the show, he's played well. So fair play to him.
Yeah. For some reason, Sky decided to show the bizarre stat of how many miles Tottenham have had to travel for a game. I understand why they showed the European games. Maybe they feel that's relevant and quick turnaround. But then they showed 194 miles for a trip to Southampton. Bit bizarre. Al-Walid, man of the match.
Yeah, I'm not different than you guys. It's Darlow. I feel like Dubravka is playing, so Darlow.
That's a really nice compliment. That, yeah, you feel like Dubravka's playing. Yeah, fair play. Yeah, he has done well. Confidence in him, and the back four are obviously confident in him as well. Daz?
Yeah, Darlow for me as well. Like all the worry we had about Dubravka being out, Darlow's done well here. Joe, and as Martin really said as well, and a few of the rest of the lads, Joe Linton looks like that he can play football. He's not a striker, but he can play football today. So that's a good sign, I suppose. But Darlow for man of the match.
I cannot wait to speak to Malcolm MacDonald this week and talk about 2 games where Joe Linton's done well. Nathan, your man of the match.
Yeah, I was going into this game really worried with Darlow in the net, to be honest. I felt it would be a game where he'd be tested a lot. And for me, in pre-season and the first game of the season, he was a little bit flappy and a little bit didn't really fill you with confidence in the sticks. But to be fair, he's answered those critics today, and he's had a really good game. And I think he can hopefully take a lot of confidence from this and into the next game. I think it's only fair, as the lads have said, a bit of a shout out to Joe Linton. I think that scene we saw last week when Shelby was pulling his face when Joe Linton was being subbed on for him and that kind of thing. But to be honest, Joe Linton has outperformed the likes of Shelby and all the others today. So they want to have a good look at themselves, I think.
Barry Hogan says Bruce needs to sign someone creative so we can ditch Shelby's a liability. Do the guys have anyone in mind? We'll come back to that after Chris Hall's given us his man of the match.
Yeah, I think it's an easy one this week, isn't it? Definitely Darlow for me. But as everyone said, I think Joe's done really well today. A few players, notably Shelby, who've not done anywhere near as much as they should have. And as Nathan said, I think they need to have a look at themselves. But yeah, Darlow comfortably, especially as Nathan said, after a dodgy pre-season, didn't look very comfortable. But no, yeah, I think Darlow's been really good today, and Joe's put loads of effort in. So yeah, Darlow for me.
Gareth Bale knows he's on television there, starts to do some pointing towards something as if it's relevant. It really bugs me when they look at players and stuff in their stand. I mean, we've seen about 15 pictures of Gareth Bale. We know that he signed for Tottenham. We don't need to see him. What is the point? Anyway, Barry Hogan, he said Bruce needs to sign someone creative so we can ditch Shelby's a liability. Do the guys have anyone in mind? Chris, anyone in mind?
Yeah, I don't know if there's anyone that we can afford. It's available on loan that will make an impact up the middle. I mean, we're not going to be able to bring in Coutinho, so I don't see anyone on the market there. I mean, I think the best thing would be to be able to develop like Matty Longstaff or something. We talked earlier, about not giving Barlaser a chance, but yeah. So I think we have to look within the squad. Well, I'm not going to be able to bring in anyone else. We've already brought in a couple of midfielders already. So
yeah, Lee's suggesting we're 7 minutes behind. We're not 7 minutes behind. We're about a minute and a half, Lee. Definitely a minute and a half. I've timed this. I'm checking my phone. Spenny, midfielders. Any Wilson again getting through for an opportunity, and it was a mix up with the defence, and Davies nearly putting past his own keeper. Ball played off him and just went wide. So it's a corner to Newcastle. 89th minute. Spenny, any midfielder you think would bring in?
Anyone from Chelsea who's up for grabs. Because they've got that many players up for grabs. I don't know why we don't even go for anybody at Chelsea.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Get up.
Yep.
Well, better than us.
Martin, is there any midfielder you'd like to see come in that we could afford, do you think?
We're probably not going to get a mid, I don't think. I think I'd like the lad said, Barlaser, I'd like to see maybe developed a bit. I think with the mids today, with Shelby's non-performance, it just puts additional pressure on Hendrick. Hendrick's taken off, which I thought was, okay, he's not had the best game, but when you've Shelby alongside you, not putting in the graft, I think any centre mid is going to struggle. I'd like to see another centre-back. I think we're struggling with Clark still out and Fernandez. I don't think Lascelles has been on it either. And that leadership, I think we're just struggling with it across the pitch.
Okay. Chris Hall?
To be honest, Steve, no one in particular I can think of. But as we've alluded to on previous shows, you can see the difference that having, that midfield general can make. I know in the championship season we had Diarme, and he was fantastic for us for that one season. I thought he was really good. You can see the difference that Fernandez has made at Man United. At Everton, they've signed, Decore, James, Allen. Having a central midfielder who can, get his foot on the ball, calm things down, and keep possession, and play it round a little bit and get the team ticking. That's what we need. Who's out there at the moment in terms of availability and obviously price? I'm not that sure, but it's central midfielder definitely. We need someone to get us moving.
I think those couple of boys though, Chris, by Everton, were quite clever from Ancelotti, and Alan kind of breaking ball up, sitting in just in front of the back four yesterday, and James was just pinging the ball left, right, and centre. Two quality purchases from
they look
Everton.
Completely different, don't they? Completely different.
Yeah. They looked good yesterday.
Everything's like what if happened at Newcastle? They took over. Cabins.
Free kick.
The manager and the players that come in.
Oh shit.
So it's 5 minutes extra time at the end of the game. Joe Linton on the deck. Free kick.
He's trying to create.
No.
He's jumped straight into him.
Yeah. he like head butted him.
Last minute equaliser, lads. Come on.
Shelby to score, man, the match.
Shelby scores here now. We're all going to look a bit daft.
The last time we scored a free kick.
Just dink it in and hope for the best.
Some hand signals there from Shelby. He's trying to clarify what he wants. He's obviously going to look for Andy Carroll here, you'd think.
Oh, he's called for the handball again.
Dreadful.
Yeah, Andy Carroll crying for everything. After watching, he's obviously watched Match of the Day yesterday and all these controversial
That's a great knockdown.
VAR decisions.
Caught by that.
Manquillo with a really long ball in, felt like Wilson, who just couldn't get the ball under control, and Spurs cleared the lines.
Well done, Manquillo. Well done.
Manquillo.
Not really had much to do, Manquillo, today.
No.
Oh! I
See,
told you what.
That is possible.
That's a pen.
He's not. If this gets given now,
It's gone to a VAR check after Andy Carroll appealed. Spurs actually went on the attack down to the other end. Mourinho. We did say
it's not like a penalty.
we did say at the start of the game that there could be a controversial VAR decision.
The penalty here if it's a given.
We might just see Newcastle United. Well, Richie's off the pitch, isn't he?
For the offside.
Is it Wilson?
Please don't tell me Shelby will take that if we get this.
This is going to be Callum Wilson.
Oh, we offside, are we?
It's a pen all day.
Oh.
We're offside, are we?
Andy Carroll can't believe this.
What is it?
Oh, yeah, I'm bored. What they're doing?
Andy Carroll is saying it is definitely a penalty. It was definitely a handball if you go by the rule of the game, which I don't think
there's a question about the handball. I don't think there's a question about handball. I think they're looking at whether Carroll's offside, which is why, because if Carroll's offside, then the handball doesn't matter. But
Carroll's, it's not. It's Fernandez that's in that front line there.
I'm not being funny, but football used to be an easy game, right? When there's a handball in the box. Since when are we starting to look at an offside? It's supposed to be
onside. So is that
it has to be a pen. It has to be a pen.
This is tense, because I'm still behind you all.
Hang on. Oh, he's going to look at the telly, lads.
His arms up there from the replay. His arms up in the air. He's got to get
It's Dyer with the handball.
His arms in an unnatural
position.
It has to be a penalty.
I'm sure.
His arms in an unnatural position. It's a penalty.
The TV's coming up. It's definitely a penalty. It's definitely a penalty, that.
Yeah, penalty.
Does he give it?
It's penalty, yeah.
Yeah.
I
can't do it. Boys, I'm relying on you now to tell me.
I love VAR.
I love VAR today.
This is an absolute classic.
It's daylight robbery.
Let's just chill a little bit. We haven't scored it yet.
I know.
Callum Wilson has
Who's on it?
this penalty. He has to take this penalty.
By definition of yesterday's games, that's a handball.
Most important thing, lads, I get to see a shot on goal.
Come on, Wilson.
Please tell me this is Wilson.
Yeah, Wilson.
He's got the ball. He has to.
The ref's just gone over to look at the screen on my stream.
Has he?
Oh, he's give it now. Yeah, so I know he's give it. Wait.
Over the time as well. Over the time, 95 minutes, isn't it?
Wilson has it anyway. Spurs are still protesting.
At the death.
Is it Wilson?
Yeah, it is Wilson. Yeah.
Come on, son.
Come on, lads. Come on.
Don't even look at Loris. Don't even look at him.
I need cheers. Come on.
Wilson's kissed the ball. He's looking down at it.
Come on.
Wilson is not looking at the goalkeeper's eyes. There's a bit of nerves in Wilson here.
Get it in.
Go on.
Get it! Yes.
Jose's gone down the pitch.
That's the lesson we are looking for.
Cheerio.
Mourinho's sad.
Oh, Mourinho's gone straight down the tunnel.
He's not moving on the pitch like he did in Man United, is he?
Mourinho went straight down the tunnel, hands in his pockets, no mask on, in these COVID times. And
Larry went the right way.
Eric Dyer's looking for some fans in the crowd. There isn't any.
He wasn't far off.
Bruce.
That's it. Bruce is up around the corner for pie, mash and peas now.
Just how Bruce drew it up. Just how he drew it up.
Bruce looking the most animated now. Toon fan says Bruce for England.
Yeah.
Your fancy football team isn't looking good, Martin.
No.
Yeah,
although I do have Wilson up front.
Yeah, Come on.
Wilson the goat, says Diamonds. Feed the goat and he will score.
The
cartel's not going to be happy, says Lee.
Come on. Nothing stupid now. Come on.
It's not over yet.
Doesn't have been on the VR, eh?
That was a great pass.
Time. Get to grab.
Take your time. Take your time.
What minute did the penalty get given? What minute was the free
95th,
kick?
near enough. 94.39 or something.
Yeah.
This is the absolute beauty of VAR.
Is this going to VAR now?
It's not it's not an unnatural position. It's not an unnatural position. There's no way it should be given as a penalty.
Just kick the ball at him.
There's no way.
He's protecting his billy.
It's done. Over.
Yes.
Celebrating a draw, but yes.
Now that's got to be one of the luckiest points we'll see this season.
Yeah,
we're not celebrating the draw. We're celebrating Daz seeing a shot on target.
And I called it at the start. 1-1.
For the sake of football, that shouldn't have been a handball. I'm delighted, of course, but it drags the game onto another level of controversy, says Byrony. Tottenham Hotspur.
Oh, someone
is
yeah,
who's that? Is that Harry Kane?
Oh, Harry Kane.
Harry Kane's been sent off.
I think it was the assistant manager. I don't know.
No. The assistant manager's still there. I think it was Harry Kane.
Was it?
I think Kane's been sent off. Yeah.
Kane. It looked like Kane.
Oh no! What did he do?
I think he said something
with the ref.
Walked off.
The assistant manager's getting sent off as well now, I think.
I know Harry Winks was booked for dissent in the 98th minute, but it does look as if Harry Kane has been sent off after the whistle.
Wow.
Good man.
Lads, what did we say? We said it. We said it. As long as we're still in the game, there's still a chance. There's still a chance for us to win. And all we showed is a little bit, a 5% increase in attacking intent. And look what we got on the back of it.
Yeah.
Was it deserved? Probably not, but we still got it.
So on 80 minutes, we were talking about Bruce. We were talking about Bruce out. The Twitter trolls had gone into overdrive, and the Bruce out campaign had started. Chris, is this a stroke of genius from Steve Bruce? Play defensive.
Look at Ashley.
Rubbing his hands, more money.
Rubbing his hands.
That's what he's looking at.
That's Brucey getting another 8 years.
Wow.
I said it was just how Bruce drew it up. Fell into it ass backwards.
Spenny, is that a stroke of genius from Steve Bruce?
I think it's a stroke of genius by me, saying it was 1-1 result.
Good lad, Spenny. Good lad.
Very true, mate. Very true. You called it. Martin, tactical genius, Steve Bruce, or just a lucky bugger?
Just a lucky bugger, mate. Look, let's call a spade, lads. We'll take the point. In fairness to Pete, he called it about 5 minutes before about upping the tempo, 4 or 5%. We were getting a little bit back in it. Was it fortuitous? Yeah. You know what? It is, but then so was United yesterday. You win some, you lose some.
Yeah. You do, and they'll balance out at the end of the season. Looking forward to Mourinho's interview. You're not wrong. It'll
be interesting now, Steve, to see the Sky agenda now, whether that's talked as a ball, as a handball, or not a handball.
Well, of course, being on first, of course, we're now going to go straight to the Man City game, which is more important. Yeah. So, of course, we're not going to see any of this fallout until later on. Chris Hall, what's your take on that? I mean, you've got to be delighted with the result.
Oh, I'm made up. I mean, we didn't deserve it. I think Bruce has got lucky. But it just goes to show, doesn't it? You know, as Pete said, we give it a go. All right, people will say that because we set up defensively, we gave ourselves the opportunity to still be in it in the last 15, 20 minutes. But could have been a different game if we'd set our stall out differently at the very start. I think we should have been more on the front foot from the off. But now, again, having reflected on it, you know, the Brighton result doesn't look as bad as it did pre-match because we've got a point away at Tottenham. So, you know, things do settle out over the season, but yeah, very lucky. But obviously, I'm delighted, made up with the point.
Pete, great result despite a rather one-sided game in the first half. Newcastle, to be fair, possession-wise, had the better of it in the second half. Carl Darlow, outstanding man of the match. Joe Linton, I think we've all admitted, had a decent game on the outfield. And Callum Wilson, you know, cool as a cucumber to slot that penalty away. It's a pressure penalty, that.
I'm so pleased with Callum Wilson. I'm so pleased for him, and you could tell, you know, in that celebration for the goal, there's a lot of frustration and a lot of happiness coming out at the same time because he's had nothing to play off. He's played off absolute scraps for 90 minutes, but the one time you want him to show his quality is in front of goal, and he did for the penalty. Showed his composure. He put the ball away. He did what he needed to do to get his point. And I'm so pleased with him. Darlow was fantastic. Joe Linton has probably his best outfield game for us since he joined the club. And you know, hopefully he can build on that. You know, a lot of what the pundits will talk about is they'll try and make it about Bruce and him making some sort of tactical masterclass to get a point out of it. He did absolutely nothing. It was the players out there that did the business today in terms of getting us back into the game. Andy Carroll, you know, Wilson, and some of the other players that showed a little bit of an attacking intent. Murphy as well, and you know, they need to take credit in that. It's a fair play. They're stuck in there.
Yeah, it was red card for Sacramento, confirmed now by Sky. Sacramento, the assistant manager, was sent off at full time, not Harry Kane. Sky Sports' Jamie Carragher has just said you've got more trouble on your hands, Premier League, FIFA and UEFA, whoever is involved. Change this now. And Dave Jones at Sky Sports as well said Newcastle didn't have a shot on target until the penalty in the 96th minute. But who cares if it gets you a point in a game? It does. And a lot of people saying that they've enjoyed the coverage tonight. Al Walid, you've got to be happy with that. A point at Spurs after the defeat last week against Brighton. That's 4 points out of our opening 3 games.
Yeah, we said from beginning we were waiting lucky, and we got lucky at last second. I was surprised that Mourinho left before the game finished. It was weird for me. But what we noticed that what was plan B for Mr. Bruce, that he put Carroll on the bench after maybe 80 minutes just to win the long balls. This was the tactics, to win the long balls, and he tried to give assists by his head. And 3 times it happened, and we are lucky we get this penalty shot. Of course, we are. I'm very happy, and we were surrendering. We are surrendering to defeat. But the good thing that we maybe we didn't, and we still, even we are losing, we didn't left our spaces behind us, which is make the opportunity to draw at least as possible.
Okay, Daz, got to be happy with that, mate. You saw a shot.
Delighted. Yeah, I had to wait 180, 190 minutes to see that shot. I'm delighted I'm getting VAR in the back of a jersey now. And just in relation to Bruce, like, okay, we were calling, mix up the tactics, but go more attacking. But he did. I'm not giving him credit. We did stay in the game. We were lucky, thanks to Dardo. But then just bringing on Big Andy, who was involved in that tussle just to win that penalty, like. Okay, yeah, delighted we got that draw. Like I said at the start, that my positive one was 1-1, and I'm delighted that we were able to achieve that. We've got 4 points on the board now. They're valuable to us in those first 3 games.
Definitely, yeah. Malky Taylor says, as a former member of the Goalkeepers Union, MOM, man of the match, Darlow, all day for me. Malky, I remember you playing, mate. I remember you playing. You were a legend. The Big G says, well done to Bruce. He went there for a draw and got it. Yeah, in a roundabout way, you're right. He did. Who's more embarrassing, Bruce or Joe Clinton? Never been more angry after a last gap draw. Can't please everybody, Andy. Got to say, I thought Joe Linton played better today. David Crone, if that happened to us, I would burn my sleeping bag and refuse a Greg, since I'm now living rough after gambling on your predictions, Steve. 96 minute Brucey bonus. He'll be saying everything is hunky-dory now. I'm not sure he'll get that carried away, but he'll have a smug grin on his face, I bet. Derek Sharp says, Bruce Ball is the biggest reason why we will end up in the relegation battle. Only 36 points more we need, Derek. That's all. Well done, God, says Jeff Carter. Bring on Wednesday, says I'm Tyler Durden. Yeah, I would agree. I'm looking forward to the cup game. Stupid decision, however, as a Toon fan, who cares? Imagine being in St James's or down there. If that had happened, it would have been fantastic. Trolls, a shout out to Joel. Good game today. Up to 9th. Glory days are back. Big G, interesting to see Sky's reactions. Very interesting. And best players for us today were Darlow, Joe Linton, and Manquillo. Nathan, your take on today's events?
Yeah, I think the release of excitement at the end there was just pure. Having had to sit through 90 minutes of that, because it was dreadful from start to finish, wasn't it? I mean, we made it so easy for Spurs today. We were second to everything. We weren't doing the basics right. We didn't wake up until around the sort of 50, 60 minute mark. I think there was a few good changes at the end there. Really sort of disappointing to see that we actually, show some hunger and desire when it's almost too late. It's really frustrating. Like, why can't we just show that bite earlier on in the game? And they were there for the taking today. Spurs. They were nowhere near the side that we gave them so much respect all over the park today, and they were nowhere near the side that we should have been worried about. I think all in all, we made it too easy for them. I think it was down to our lack of any attacking intent whatsoever. We didn't give them anything to worry about. There's no link-up play. There was nothing at all. So the fact that we can come out of that with a 1-1 draw is obviously we'll take it, and I'm happy with the result, but far from happy with the performance. And I just hope this doesn't sort of paper over any cracks in terms of the pressure that needs to be put on Bruce to do something differently. And I hope he doesn't feel. I'm happy with the draw, but I hope he doesn't feel sort of vindicated that was an acceptable performance today, because it wasn't at all.
Yeah, Tyler Durden says, I love the fact Joe Linton's getting some recognition for hard graft, especially after the disgusting abuse levelled at him on social media recently. I agree, mate. Yeah, look, I told you. I know it sounds as if I'm extracting the urine, shall we say, but I give him 10 games, and so far I don't think he's let us down. He got off to a poor start, but the 2 goals against Morecambe have clearly maybe given him a bit of a lease of life, and I can't criticise him today. Did everything I would expect him to do. Fair enough, he's not knocking goals in at the moment, but is he a centre forward? We've had this debate before. Well done to Joe Linton today. I thought he was outstanding as far as his own standards at Newcastle so far have been set. So, you've got to give credit where credit's due. You won't see the trolls saying that at all to him on his social media, but nobody should ever slate a player directly like that. It's absolutely unacceptable. You know what I mean? We can all have our opinions. It's all very well having a pint down the pub and slagging somebody off. Going onto their social media account where the family can see it, etc. There's no justification for it at all. Sky Pundits close to tears, says John. I'm going to go. I'm looking forward to my phone call from Charlie Salvador now. It's all level. 1 apiece was the final score today. Thanks for everybody watching. Just before you all sign off, can you please hit the thumb button? Just give it a like. As I said earlier on, I am back tomorrow with the girls. It'll be ladies' night tomorrow night. Always a good night at a slightly later time on a Monday of 7:30. Join me, Sav, Kendall, Katie, and Samantha, and Sav's dogs. And Wednesday, of course, usually we'll have Gibbo and Malcolm on. I did say earlier that we will be having them on at the normal time. We won't be. We'll be on slightly earlier on Wednesday with them. That'll be 4 till 5, and then we'll be starting the live coverage of the cup game because it's a 5:30 kickoff on Wednesday. So don't get caught out with that. Tuesday, of course, we always have Liam on from the Shields Gazette to talk transfers and to talk takeover. If there is any updates, there's been murmurings over the weekend about that, so I'm sure Liam will have some kind of updates for us. But yeah, great week as always. Check out some of the videos we've got, some good ones up from from in the week. And if you miss out on YouTube, you can tune in to listen to all of us and listen back to the match commentary from the guys on iTunes or on Spotify. Been
Steve,
a great
sorry.
day. Go on, mate.
Can I just say just a couple of things just before we sign off that kind of sprung to my head earlier today?
Go for it, mate.
Firstly, I know we all sit on here on the panel and we watch the game and we have a bit of crack. But just to bring a bit of reality, I suppose, as Newcastle fans, I just wanted to say deepest condolences and our thoughts with the young lassie that was unfortunately killed on Friday in the school ground in Newcastle. Awful shame. I know as a dad with young kids, it's absolutely horrendous. So I personally wanted just to say to the family, just while we're on here, that my thoughts are with them and the family. And secondly, as an overall football supporter with teams in the Premiership, to the Everton fans as well, young Reece Jones would have been 25 today, and I just wanted to give a shout out to Reece's family, and again, just on this day and this moment, in particular to Everton fans who may watch or not watch. Just our thoughts are with you as a fan group. So I just wanted to get those out before we closed off.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great stuff. Points well made there. Big thanks to Nathan, to Daz, to Alwali, to Chris Hall, to Martin, to Chris, to Spenny, who had to go off because his battery died, to Adam, who had to go off because he was 2 minutes behind and then had to take his daughter swimming. Good crack as always, lads. Looking forward to having you on Wednesday. Get yourselves off to watch Sky and enjoy Mourinho's interview. Take care, lads. Good night.
Bye.
See you, lads.